Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes. On a Monday, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking it on a Tuesday. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking it to 2 p.m. Thank you, Kyle. And Kyle is back. We will hear about Kyle's Atlanta escapades a little later in the show. We are taking up to 2 p.m. But yes, it is a Tuesday. And, Memorial Day was yesterday, and it was a time to remember those who have served our country and gave their life to serve our country. So I hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day. Summer kind of kicks off now. We was out at the county fair yesterday with the Fam Bam. It was a lot of fun, as you're basically at the county fair as they are setting up for the state fair. It's about, half the size of the state fair, maybe a quarter the size of the state fair. Still a great time to warm it on up, and it is going to get warm. I heard triple digits on Friday out here in Sacramento, so we will try to keep it cool as the weather heats up. As far as the show is concerned, SGA, what he did last night in a game that, we talk about situations where you got to have that one. And if you're the Timberwolves, would have been nice to have that one. Now their backs are really up against the wall. But the Thunder, I think they showed who the heck they are last night, and they weren't backing down from anyone. These are the moments where, technically Anthony Edwards, a little bit more playoff experience. How's that going to help against SGA? And I think Thunder are the better team, but you could tell that SGA is hearing the talk. He said he embraces the free throw merchant tag, all of that. So it was an outstanding game. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go much further than Game 5, but we'll see what the Timberwolves have in store. Playoff career high for SGA with 40 points, that ridiculous dime that he threw between the legs of McDaniels for the assist that led to that dagger. Jalen Williams, I think, was incredible as well. This was a guy who struggled in the last series, and you're wondering, can he be a number 2? So funny, last series for both teams, it was, can Jalen Williams be a number 2? And Julius Randle had taken a leap. Now Julius Randle can't even break 7 points, and Jalen Williams is making dagger 3. So it happens fast. Life comes at you quick. That's what the kids say. We got trades all day as far as the Kings are concerned. We are in the thick of it, people. And I'm not going to say it started on this show, but we sat here. We had Chris Biederman on the show. Chris talked about how, hey, there's only one Kevin Durant. There's only one Giannis. You can go check that out on YouTube, of course. There's only one Giannis. Who's to say that DeMar DeRozan isn't a great plan B or plan C for some of these teams that just need to go get a bucket? The Rockets, just go get me a bucket. DeMar, we got you on defense. Just go get a bucket. The Magic, just go get me a bucket. So we have that conversation. Meanwhile, Kyle has been he and hawing that DeMar DeRozan and his value is underrated. And we go into the weekend starting on Friday. Anthony did a great job for us Thursday and Friday. We go into the weekend connected to the Celtics and Jrue Holiday. Now more is coming out. RJ Barrett with the Raptors. This is the good PR, people. And sometimes you just got to wait it out. Oh, nobody wants DeMar. You sure? You sure about that? When we sit here and we go back and forth with, the spacing this, the spacing that. What are we watching during the playoffs? Yes, Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. But the two teams that just bombed threes, I know the Celtics won the whole thing last season, but the Celtics were down 3-1, or about to be down 3-1 when Jason Tatum went down. And they were chucking threes and they were missing. Oh, Allen, why would the Celtics want DeMar? All they do is shoot threes. Yeah, and they're at home now. Maybe they're looking at themselves saying, hey, maybe DeMar could come in and change what we're doing a little bit. Just a little off-speed pitch, a counter punch. Maybe he could do that. No, we want to chuck threes. Now, they did. But when they lose Derek White or they lose Jrue Holiday or they lose Porzingis or whoever it was, You have to be able to evolve. And DeMar DeRozan, he just needs to be a part of something greater than him, right? DeMar DeRozan as a brand is greater than the Sacramento Kings as of the last decade. So when he came to Sacramento, DeMar is not coming off of nobody's bench, and he shouldn't have. But DeMar is going to have to take these shots. And I don't really blame him. Half the time, we didn't know if De'Aaron Fox wanted to be playing. No, he had the injury and the finger and things like that. So that's not what DeMar wanted. Now we have people saying he should go to the Nuggets, right? What do you notice about all of these places where DeMar is being connected besides the Raptors? Because the Raptors, obviously, it would be a homecoming situation. But everywhere else where DeMar is being connected to, big brands, a very strong foundation, bigger than DeMar. And that's not as a slight. This is what he wants. I don't believe that DeMar DeRozan wanted to come out here and shoot 25 times a game and play 40 plus minutes a game. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sourced. That's just my opinion. So you put him on the Celtics, get off of Jrue Holiday. We have a proposed trade for you that we'll get into in about 10 minutes here. We have a ton of trades today. Jrue Holiday, RJ Barrett, and we still have our candidate of the day. And I may or may not have ruined that tease for today. But you'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know. Maybe it's just another Celtics player or Raptors player. But all these teams that he's being connected to outside of the Raptors, strong organizations, strong foundations. The Celtics, the Nuggets, hey, we know what we're doing. We just need you to go get a bucket. Just be that, again, kind of diet KD. Can you go get us a bucket? Very, very diet. I understand. But he ain't going to cost you $50 million either. We talked on Friday. I asked Anthony, do I need a sanity check? I didn't think Butler would work with the Warriors. What about DeMar DeRozan? They're on the same timeline. They needed somebody to go get a bucket. Cam Johnson sounds like the Nets have lost it. There's a report coming out saying they'll package Cam Johnson to try to get another lottery pick. That's what they think Cam Johnson's worth now. Well, Warriors can't do that. So I think we may have started the movement here on this show about DeMar DeRozan. Why is nobody talking about DeMar DeRozan? And the fact that he can put up points for you. Hey, if you really think you're in a championship window, yeah, you'll pay $24 million for a dude to come off the bench or for your third option, however you want to look at it. So we have DeMar trades all day, and there's a world where he stays. That's a world too. If Tyrese Halliburton gets to the finals, who would you root for? Would you be rooting for him or against him? Would you be salty based on how things ended? I don't know why you'd be salty with Tyrese. Speaking of, his daddy's back. Daddy is allowed to return to the arena and sit in a suite. And you know what? I'm happy about it. This is exactly what we said should happen. Sit your rich behind in a suite and watch your boy do his thing. You don't need to be on the court. You don't need to be doing all that. I never really understood why the pops, and I'm trying to imagine if I was in that situation. You know, I'm in living the sweet life. Zach and Cody. I don't need to be down there. But there's nothing for you down there. Getting hit with a basketball. You know, your son knows he's there. Your son knows you're there. He can see you. So he's back in the arena and he's able to sit in a suite for this series that's going on with the Pacers and the Knicks. And speaking of, obviously we'll break down who we like in that series. I think that the Indiana Pacers, you know, everyone's, they blew a 20-point lead. I mean, they weren't ever leading by 20 points in the second half. Right? To me, yeah, they gradually lost the lead, but nowhere near as egregious as what happened with the Knicks, obviously, in game one. Eric Martins joins us, third base coach for the A's. That's at 11. A's lost 11 straight and just started pulling up people. I don't know. Who else we got out there in Vegas? Who else we got down there in AAA? You come up too. You lose 11 straight. So they snapped that losing streak, and you know, they win one more here and they're back on a winning streak, but it's not going to be easy. We talked to Eric Martins. That's at 11 o'clock. And towards the end of the show, 1 o'clock hour, we get into the all NBA teams that were announced. We have some NFL for you as well. The sleeper team this season and the NFL flag football drama, who should be the QB. And I have a very simple solution for that drama, by the way. It's very, very simple. So I will break that down towards the end of the show. 4 hours with you. On the other side, we hear from Shams saying, don't sleep during this NBA offseason. A lot could be happening. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
What's going on? I'm talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Chad, tell me what's happening for Chrysler's Employee Pricing Plus event.
You get the perk of being an employee without all the work, plus a little extra Hoblet discount on top of what everyone else has when you save up to $20,000 off MSRP on new 2025 Jeep Wagoneer S.
Now, I remember you saying how much your wife likes the Wagoneers.
It's true, and they are really nice. I'm super excited to be able to help you save so much so you can have one of your own. Plus, you get to experience our award-winning customer service. And remember to check out the Hoblet Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter with nearly 200 vehicles available and over 50 under $20,000. Whatever you're looking for, Hoblet has it.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
20,000 total net savings after 9,000 factory rebates and 11,000 dealer discounts, including employee pricing for all. Rebates may include 7,500 CDJ federal tax credit offered by third party and subject to change without notice. Consult a tax professional. 3% net savings. Sample VIN 6394. See dealer for details.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Don't get it twisted, though. As Carmichael Dave was hating on fairs, I love fairs, but you got to save your money. This was the last cheap fair that I think we'll be able to go to because Toddler Styles wasn't tall enough for the rides. You get that card, that digital card that they give you. Hey, $50 for 5 plays. I mean, this is real money we're talking about.
So I haven't been to a county or state fair in probably 12 years.
Yeah.
So even the fact that they do like digital swipe cards now for rides and tickets is...
No, it's hardcore.
I assumed that was the case, but it's just something I hadn't even thought of. Because the last time it was like, get a pass, you get a certain number of tickets, and you can cash in those paper tickets to go on the ride.
Like I said, we did not do any games, and Baby Styles is not tall enough to ride yet. I think it's 36 inches. So she will be tall enough next year. So that's why I'm saying this was my last cheap fair, because we just looked at ourselves, she's pretty tired. Let's not do the carnival thing. We probably saved about, I'm not kidding, $150. It's those cards, 5 plays for $50, or do a combo for $100 and you get unlimited rides. And it's all great. I'm just saying it's not cheap at all. You think, hey, say fair, here's a quarter, kiddo, and, bring me a nickel back or something. That's not what it is anymore.
I don't know. In the grand scheme of children's activities, I'm think
telling you, Kyle, we got to find, I should have, like I said, we didn't do it, so I didn't take any pictures, or it's not, the exact amount isn't on my mind, but I'm telling you, brother, it is not cheap.
I believe you. I absolutely believe you, but you're now at the age where you're going to have.
That's true. I mean, there's a new bouncy house thing in Natomas. I haven't checked that out yet, but I'm just saying, if I were to say to you, hey, or if somebody were to say to you, I'm taking my date to the fair, your first thought would be, that's a pretty inexpensive date. No. No.
It depends. Is your date going to be getting the $100 pass to do 80 rides?
I'm just saying, you get $20 drinks. You get a seven plays.
You get
$75.
$18 funnel cake.
We did it.
Sure.
We'll be back. We're there. We're back for Ludacris, but Baby Styles, she got to stay home.
But speaking of Baby Styles and bounce houses, I know the people didn't get to see it, but that video of her just going in the bounce house with the children and not doing anything was very adorable.
It was daddy daycare. Wifey was out on a girls' trip, so we were at the International Kids Festival. So a very, very busy weekend, and it's going to be a very, very busy NBA offseason. According to Shams Charania, there's senior segue for you. This is what Shams had to say on the Pat McAfee show.
Pat, this is the most, I think, anticipation team executives have had over an offseason. I think this is going to be the craziest offseason of all. I don't want to say all time. We just came off a trade deadline. I think it was the craziest of all time. I think this offseason might be the most craziest ever because I think there's so many.
Most craziest ever.
There you have it. That is Pat McAfee, and that was Shams kind of breaking down what he thinks is going to be a very, very busy offseason. This one, and I mentioned this in the first segment, this one took me for a loop, though, and this is from Brian Lewis, who covers the Nets for the New York Post. The Brooklyn Nets reportedly looked to package Cam Johnson in a trade to acquire a second lottery pick. There is a sentiment around the league the Nets could look to land a second lottery pick by consolidating and packaging some combination of Johnson, those picks at the end of the first round, and or future draft capital. And somebody tried to pair him with Nick Claxton, and somebody, the team that would take them would then give a draft pick in the lottery. I don't know, man. I don't know how that money works with Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson, and you're trying to get a lottery pick, but Cam Johnson by himself is, to me, this is getting a little ridiculous now. Cam Johnson, to me, is not a lottery pick. Not to me.
I disagree based on the recent market. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get a top 5 pick by any stretch, but last year, Denny Advia went for a lottery pick, and that took some vision from Portland to say, we think Denny Advia can work in X, Y, and Z spot. I mean, they got the 14th pick in the draft for him.
Denny's 24.
And Cam Johnson's what, 26?
No, Cam Johnson he's about 30.
He is 29, you're right.
Yeah, he's about 30 years old.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to get a premium pick. That's just, I guess, the definition you could call it for Cam Johnson. But at the trade deadline, it was 2 firsts for the Kings, which I assume would have had some sort of protections. And actually, Brooklyn was asking for Devin Carter, a lottery pick in last year's draft, in exchange for Cam Johnson at the deadline. So I guess why wouldn't they believe that they can get some team to give them a top 14 pick in the draft? I mean, they were asking for Topic from Oklahoma City too, and obviously they didn't get that offer, but at least that was the value they were asking for at the deadline.
Yeah, so and we haven't really talked about Cam Johnson in a while. He was banned because I just was tired of talking about him, and I think he's going to remain banned because I don't see if that's what they want. And again, so much of this, especially during this time, is posturing. But if that's what they want, that is too rich for my blood, and probably too rich for a lot of teams' blood, including the Sacramento Kings. So as far as the wing market, if you will, Cam Johnson sure is at the top. But I mean, I keep saying this. I don't think the Warriors could get Cam Johnson anyway. But if you put Cam Johnson on the Warriors, let's say Steph went down the way he went down, do they get to game 6? Do they beat the Timberwolves? I don't know. And if I'm giving up a lottery pick and somebody that I think could, we read it off last week, all the different picks and positions. This is what I've been on. I've just been in a ceiling type of mood. So in my opinion, I'm going to give up a pick for what I know Cam Johnson can do and I guess it could go both ways, but I could be getting somebody that I trip into some generational talent here if I decide to go in that direction versus a 29-year-old Cam Johnson. So you better be adding Nick Claxton too.
Honestly, Nick Claxton is a net negative at this point, just based on his contract. I don't think
based on name though.
I don't think I think it would have to be. This is kind of a weird way to say it. It would have to be Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, and the Nets are taking on like someone else's bad contract. I don't know who the team is, but like Nick Claxton is a really bad contract. So they would have to theoretically take on a worse contract than Nick Claxton in order to make the deal work.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're the Celtics, I mean, Cam Johnson shoots the 3, and you might lose Porzingis if you want to go in that for Jrue Holiday. I mean,
yeah, I mean Porzingis is weird because he only has 1 year left on his deal. So in a weird way, Boston is probably better off just keeping Porzingis for a year and then just saying, hey, we'll have the financial flexibility after that. I don't know. The Boston thing is very strange, and the Jrue Holiday trade itself is going to be difficult to kind of piece together because we don't know what Boston wants. When we did Jrue Holiday as our trade candidate of the day, I had a deal that was like, hey, if they're going to lose Jrue Holiday, they're probably going to want Keon Ellis or some sort of defensive two guard to replace the production they're about to lose. But maybe Boston doesn't go in that direction. Maybe Boston goes in the, hey, Tatum's going to be out for the year. Let's take DeRozan and see if DeRozan can pair well with Jaylen Brown and we get some level of production similar to what we had. I genuinely don't know what Boston wants, which is what makes the Holiday trade so hard.
Yeah, as far as the Jrue Holiday movement, we have a trade coming up for you that I cooked up that is coming up in about 4 minutes. But another name, if the Brooklyn Nets, and I've been saying this, they better stop messing around and make sure that they strike while the iron's hot so they don't end up in a situation like the name I'm about to say. And I think that this person could now get moved before Cam Johnson if the Nets want to play stupid games and win stupid prizes. If Danny Ainge wants to swallow his pride a little bit and say, hey, look, the Lauri Markkanen thing, shouldn't have signed him. I did. Some of it was out of spite, but we didn't even get the first pick now. Our timelines are all screwed up. Let's talk. Let's have a real conversation now and talk about those price tags. I wouldn't be surprised if some team, okay, y'all, everybody's going to hop on the Cam Johnson train. Danny, I know you want to win every trade, but you want to sell low on Markkanen right now. I mean, it'll still be respectable, but let's get you know that contract doesn't work. We've never seen him play winning basketball, and we didn't even see him play last season. You can't. The NBA is going to find you to high heaven if you keep running these guys out, and it's just a situation where you're just get off the snowball, Danny, and let's do a real deal for Lauri Markkanen and just move forward.
I mean, it might be too late for that. I mean, who's the contender that's going to say, we will pay Lauri Markkanen $198 million over 4 seasons? I
think it's a fringe. I think it's a fringe team off the top of my head. Could be the Magic. Could be, I don't know. We know he can score the basketball.
Is it Toronto?
It could be Toronto. I don't know. We're going to spend some time on Toronto. There you go. Another hint for our trade candidate of the day. But yeah, just Brandon Ingram, just bucket getters. Let's just go YMCA it.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot because Masai does not want to do more losing. They've already been losing for however many years
2019
now.
was a long time ago. I mean, that was 3 different Drakes ago.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think. So they missed the playoffs in 2021, which got them Scotty Barnes. Mm-hmm. Then they randomly made the playoffs in 2020. They were like a 5 seed in 2022, and then it's just been bottoming out ever since. Like, they're already in year 3 of this rebuild. They can't really afford to go back down.
Jrue Holiday trade, when we return, you in, you out, and we open up the phone lines to see what you think DeMar DeRozan's value is. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Fidium Fiber.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. It is Tuesday. Out the door to a cool start that you may need a layer. As we head through the afternoon, it'll be bright and it's going to be pretty warm. Temperatures this afternoon above normal with highs in the low 90s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
It's about time they
fixed that pothole.
Invented better windshield wipers.
Made an internet that just works. Fidium Fiber Internet, starting at only $30 a month. It feels like Fidium. Offer available to residential customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See Fidium.com for details.
May is Military Appreciation Month, and I know how much I appreciate the military. I married into a military family. I hear from so many members of the military, and Navy Federal Credit Union wants us to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. If you're active duty, a veteran, or part of a military family, you're eligible to join. At Navy Federal Credit Union, the members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
We were the Humane Society of the United States. 70 years of fighting for animals, Today, we are called Humane World for Animals, a name that reflects our unstoppable commitment to end animal cruelty globally. Humane World for Animals, the end of animal cruelty.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-902-5454. 800-902-5454.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Memorial Day savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock.
And Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections of new Silverado in the Sacramento area.
$12,500 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Less than $2,100 million. Financing, lease, and some other offers.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Eric Martins joins us in 30 minutes, third base coach for the Athletics. We're going to talk some athletics a little later in the show. There was a clip going around where, and I was trying to remember what the situation. I've only worked one Sunday for River Cats, and they let kids run the bases. And off the top of my head, I can't remember if they did this for River Cats too, because like I said, I've only worked one Sunday so far. I am there tonight. Thank you. I am there tonight, by the way, if you happen to be enjoying yourself on a Taco Tuesday out there at Sutter Health Park. But the video was kids running the bases, but they peel off. This is after an A's game. So after a Sunday A's day game, kids run the bases. You're watching the kids run the bases, and then you see there is a walkway or a runway at third base. So the kids do not get to turn around third base and touch home plate. They run off, run in a straight line past third base and get off the field. So that made its rounds, and the A's were getting roasted about that. And I would assume that it's a wear and tear thing. You saw Wheeler from the Phillies recently said the mound was really hard, and obviously they're playing a ton of games. They're giving the field a rest during June or for majority of June while they, just kind of let it get back where it needs to be. But I would assume that's why the kids can't touch home plate. I would have argued if you ever play softball, right, those co-ed leagues where there's a line to the right, just put the line, just let them run to home, even if they don't have to touch home plate. They're running off at third base, and the internet is having a lot of fun. Again, stop me if you've heard this one before, at the A's expense.
Yeah, there were a couple of those this weekend. I saw the one of Kotze getting ejected and having to walk around the outfield.
Yeah.
I had a funny A's. I had two funny airport stories during my trip this week, but the A's one was funny on the way back. On the way there, it was funny because I was sitting at my gate when the Halliburton buzzer beater went in, and so the people at the bar in the airport all start yelling all at once, and everyone was like, oh my God, what's happening? The second one was not checking in on baseball for 4 days.
Oh man.
And then at the airport on Sunday opening MLB at bat for the first time and being like, damn, the A's still haven't won.
Yeah.
And I've been gone for 5 days and they still hadn't won a game. It was crazy.
11 straight. 11 straight L's.
Yeah, I thought it was like, oh, that's crazy. 6 in a row. How wild and wacky baseball can be sometimes. Nah, they lost 11 games in a row. It was shocking to me when I was like, they didn't win a single game on the homestand until Sunday.
Yeah, last game of the homestand, they beat the Phillies. We're going to talk to Coach Eric Martins. How do you kind of stay up in the dugout during times like these, and what players they look towards in that locker room to really lift up the rest of the team? So that's coming up in about 30 minutes. Okay, here is my Jrue Holiday trade. This is based on what Brett Siegel said on Friday, and Brett Siegel is going to join us on the show tomorrow. The Celtics would get DeMar DeRozan and Isaac Jones. The Kings would get Jrue Holiday and Sam Hauser. A lot of people were responding to me saying, I don't want to move Isaac Jones. Let's move Terrence Davis. If the Celtics, it really, again, as all things, it depends on DeMar DeRozan's value and how bad they think that Jrue Holiday contract is. But yeah, obviously I would rather do Terrence Davis than Isaac Jones. But what we're not going to do is sit there and say that Isaac Jones is any level of untouchable. And if that's how you feel, that's cool. But I'm not going to take you seriously as a basketball fan, or I should say a basketball aficionado, if you will, right? We have fun and people will call in with trades. And I don't police fandom, don't get me wrong. It's just, and I'm not policing your ability to say, I think Isaac Jones shouldn't be moved in that deal. I'm just telling you, I cannot take you seriously as somebody who wants to make the Sacramento Kings better if we're having conversations about Isaac Jones in 2025 while I'm watching the conference finals. I'm not going to argue with you about Isaac Jones. And that's no disrespect to Isaac Jones. I'm not doing it, though.
Yeah. If we can't move Isaac Jones.
Then what are we? You can't say that and then be upset because the Kings are still in the middle.
Well, the other part is like your deal is probably going to have to include compensation going back to Boston.
Yes.
You know, whether it's a first round pick or a few seconds or whatever it is. So if Boston is still trying to win now, which again, they might take a gap year next year just because of Tatum tearing his Achilles and everything else. But if they want to compete next year, if we can't get Isaac Jones in here, what's going to happen when they ask for Keon Ellis?
Some non-starters. And that's why I'm saying you look at the flexibility that the Kings have as far as what they can do with the salary cap and some of the exceptions that they have, and then go look at the free agent list. There's a world where they run this thing back. It's not crazy. Tyus Jones and some random wing. And let's keep it rolling. Oh, you said all you needed was a point guard. Here's a point guard, guys. I'm not saying that they're going to do that. I'm saying that there is a world where they do that.
Where it's Tyus Jones and KCP.
There is a world. And DeMar is still on the team.
I guess. I feel like the DeMar one is becoming less and less likely every day as we now hear him being connected to other teams.
Yeah.
That one seems like mutually agreeable on both sides, but as we've been talking about for basically all of May, is the DeRozan deal could be for a Jrue Holiday, it could be for a Tobias Harris or KCP, or it could be part of a larger package to get a star. Like there's so many different directions a potential DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk trade could go. The Boston one is very interesting because we know Jrue Holiday is the piece they're most likely to move, but as I said before, it's really hard to figure out because does Boston want to compete next year? Does Boston want to retool and take a gap year while Tatum recovers? There's so many question marks with the Celtics.
Yeah, once some of the moves get made, I think we'll have a better understanding of what Boston's trying to do. I don't see some big exodus coming, so I don't really know what Boston not trying looks like if you still have Derek White and you still have Jaylen Brown and you still have Porzingis. Your team is too good to not do anything, even though I don't think anybody would have them winning the whole thing. There was also some conversation about how it works in Fanspo, but it wouldn't actually work because of whatever Boston can and cannot take. The larger understanding is it would be some combination of DeMar DeRozan for Jrue Holiday, just based on what Brett Siegel mentioned in his Siegel Scoops. Again, Brett Siegel will be on Wednesday. I don't want Jrue Holiday, and I've said that before, and I'll say it again. This is just a deal that I would do if that's what the Kings are thinking. And I know there is a connection there with Scott Perry and Jrue Holiday as well. So, it wouldn't surprise me. It's just you're going to be hard pressed to convince me to pay a 36, 37-year-old $32 million. That's not a scorer. That's not really a facility. So he's good on defense. Okay. There are dogs. There's defensive dogs everywhere. I don't know what he's going to bring offensively. That's the problem.
Well, and this goes back to the marketing conversation we had before, which is they would be selling low on Jrue Holiday.
Yes.
But that low could get lower based on his injury history, based on his ability to, integrate into whatever the new look Celtics look like, because he's scoring less than 10 points a game on this team. What does it look like when he has to be a number 2 or number 3 scoring option at 35 years old on a team trying to compete for a championship? Because we saw it when he was a number 2 on the Bucks. They were the number 1 seed, and they got smoked in the first round by Jimmy Butler and the Heat, right? So Jrue Holiday is not really a number 2 on a contender at this stage of his career. That was
3 years ago.
Yeah, and he's got 3 years and $98 million left on that deal. So it might be selling low now, but it could get a whole lot lower depending on how Jrue Holiday ages into his 17th, 18th, and 19th seasons in the NBA. I mean, this guy's been around for as long as Stephen Curry. He just got to the league at a young age.
Yeah, so if it has to be done, that's what I would do. You get some spacing with Sam Hauser, and he can do some things for you on the perimeter if you keep Jake LaRavia. If not, I just think that they would be solid role players to have. But as far as adding Jrue Holiday, this is more of, if that's what the Kings are thinking, this is what I do, versus Allen actually wants to do this, because I do not want to do this.
Our guy Frankie Cardicelli, who, welcome back, Frankie.
We bring the boom.
There you go.
That's what we do.
He put out the hypothetical starting lineup that's kind of based on your trade, and the idea of Jrue Holiday, Keon Ellis, and Keegan Murray on defense is appealing. I think that would certainly improve their defensive ability. And put Sabonis in a position where it's okay, if you can be an all-NBA level offensive center and rebounder, I think we can make this thing work. It's just what you have to give up in order to make that work might not be feasible for the long-term path. Because like we said, Levine ain't that easy to move. Jrue Holiday's contract could get a whole lot worse in a couple of years, and those players are still quality enough that you're not going to be able to bottom all the way out in 2 years if this thing doesn't work.
We know now who's on the NBA all-defensive team, the first and second. We'll go over those names. And, Jrue Holiday wasn't on it. So this is what we're talking about. And I don't even know if he played enough games to meet the minimum. So this is the type of stuff that worries me. When we return, we keep that conversation going. We also have some fun at Doris Burke's expense with just a crazy sound coming out of the game last night. And Anthony Edwards, do we need to be holding him more accountable? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Empower thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide.
based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-837-5050. That's 800-837-5050. 800-837-5050.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, we know it's still fairly early, but in a poll conducted by MLB.com, A's shortstop Jacob Wilson was the runaway leader for American League Rookie of the Year. And why not? He leads AL rookies in virtually every important offensive category. The last A's Rookie of the Year, Andrew Bailey, back in 2009.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are 2 new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
Deep, spins, looses it, shovel feeds to Dub, open, left side angle 3 on the way, got it, Chicken Thunder Bunny ball, Dub rises and rips, he's got 5, Shea lost the ball, regathered, and shoveled through the legs of McDaniels to Dub on the left flank for the trade. Randall giving the ball, Thunder by 2, lobs it, it's in the air, gathered by Dub, the Thunder winning, 128-126, they're 1 win away are the Young Thunder, the top seed in the West, from advancing to the NBA Finals.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
Coach Eric Martins joins us in 15 minutes. And I was just talking to Kyle during the break as we see Shams on the Pat McAfee show also reported that LeBron James is likely to opt into his $52.6 million player option. And I said, what is stopping these guys, whether it's LeBron or Steph, what's stopping them from taking that crazy pay cut, right? Or even not even crazy, just give me 25 mil. Okay, give me 25 mil and let's go build a real team here. And I know people have said it before, and it just is kind of a funny sentiment where these guys all want to, hey, we want to win, and I want to pass MJ, and I want to do this, I want to do that. I do need to be paid, though. I do need to be paid, and I know people will go back and forth about Tom Brady doing it, and I know it's different, and I would never tell, capitalism, hey, get your money. If somebody's going to pay you that money, you take it. It is just interesting that there are lines to how much these guys do care about winning. I mean, LeBron knows opted into $52.6 million is going to put the Lakers in a tougher spot than if he was making 25. But LeBron says, yeah, I'm going to get paid what I'm worth. And okay, you're going to get paid what you're worth and lose in the second round. But you would rather get paid what you're worth, lose in the second round, than feel like you're not making it and win another ring. And I just think it's interesting at the very least. Would I turn down $25 million if I thought I was worth $25 million? If I was LeBron, it's easy for me to say from this seat without any mill, but maybe I'd feel differently.
Yeah, I think it's tough because, like, LeBron James has already been dramatically underpaid for what LeBron James is worth to the NBA. Like, I saw the people made the point, like, Steph Curry's made almost $1 billion in his career, and then they brought up, like, the Warriors' value has increased by $7.8 billion since Steph Curry got there.
Right.
So you could point to, like, hasn't gotten exactly what he's worth to those teams, but I think at the end of your career, first of all, it's hard to set the precedent with the labor union and the Players Association of taking gigantic pay cuts. Tom Brady did it in the NFL for years, and he was always running into problems with labor unions. And obviously his wife was making more money than him for most of his NFL career, but he was always getting into trouble with that stuff. I think it's just hard to go out on a limb like that when you know that everybody is going to hate you for it.
And look, it goes into the initial deals, right? So we're talking about LeBron James making $50+ million, Steph Curry making $50+ million, and Jalen Brunson famously not taking as much as he could so the Knicks could keep their team together, whether the Knicks end up winning the whole thing or not. But you know, that's why I feel like it was maybe even underreported and underrepresented that Jalen Brunson did that, because guys just don't do that. And it would have made more sense for somebody like a LeBron James or Steph Curry to do that based on where they're at. Jalen Brunson, look, he's proving that he's not just going to be the flavor of the week, but he could still just be the flavor of the week. And I don't think it's going to be Dennis Schroeder level, but there's a chance that he's thinking, man, that was stupid. We never even won anything. We have the Villanova commercial that plays with Dante DiVincenzo. But besides that, I kind of tricked off a money situation. And other guys just don't do that.
Yeah, and think about it this way, too. LeBron, when he went to Miami, took a not insignificant pay cut to join the Heat, and Dwayne Wade did, too, and Chris Bosh took less than the max also to make that thing work. And at the end of the day, you know, what, they added a Norris Cole, they added they allowed Udonis Haslem to not sign with the Nuggets. And I know it's funny to say Udonis Haslem now, but he was actually a good player at that
Mario
point.
Chalmers.
It's like that. How much can you actually, you know, operate within I would say LeBron probably regrets not forcing the Heat to pay luxury tax instead of him taking the pay cut.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, that's a lesson learned from LeBron too, because he can't just keep taking pay cuts forever, I guess is kind of the point, because he's already dramatically underpaid.
Yeah. Well, and when you bring up their value, yes, there's no argument there. So I'll never tell somebody not to get their money, but you know, it comes at a price. No pun intended. All right, Kyle. Let's get to this Doris Burke sound. Doris Burke, you know, and people are saying that Mike Breen is washed up now. I can't keep up with how people view these play-by-play announcers and personalities. So Doris Burke, just a couple of years ago, Drake had a shirt on or something and Doris Burke is the best. Now people are getting on Doris Burke, and she's been caught up a couple times this offseason on things she's said and a lot of situations.
It's been an interesting playoffs.
It has. Here's the newest installment of the Doris Burke play-by-play.
We should probably set it up a little bit.
Well,
it is
random. It is random. Basically, it's Rudy Gobert dunking, and it is one of those montages where they're about to go to break, and you know they're saying, you know, "Mama, there goes that man." When Mark Jackson would say that, so they're going to break, and here's a call trying to pump you up to keep you during the commercials. Here it is.
And I don't know much about history, but I know the French and German don't like one another. And Rudy says, bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein. Have a little bit of that left-handed dunk.
What are you trying to start here?
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein.
You know, she went for it, and I'm going to give her respect for going for it. But that thing went viral in a heartbeat, and it's got to be a drop now, Kyle. I mean, I need the bonjour. I'm just going to purposely look up all of the French prospects that might go in the second round this season just so we can play the bonjour as far as the Kings are concerned. That's what we're doing here.
And I don't know much about history, but I know the French and German don't like one another. And Rudy says, bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein. Have a little bit of that left-handed dunk.
What are you trying to start here?
It's crazy. I know the French and German don't like it. It's just crazy.
Bonjour, Mr. Bonjour.
Now we have another drop at the end of the show.
Bonjour. Well, I guess we have to say that at the start of the show because bonjour means hello.
Yeah.
Or unless it's like in Hawaii where it's like bonjour also means goodbye.
Right. Aloha. So that was.
Rudy says, bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein.
You got to go for it sometimes. She nailed it, right? She nailed what she was attempting to do.
And I don't know much about history.
I know the French and Germans.
Much about history, but I know the French and German don't like one another.
Why did she have the little twang in her voice right there?
But I know the French and German don't like one another.
On the don't like, why does it have like a little twang to it?
German don't like one another.
She just was going in.
Don't like one another.
That's the bonjour. So
bonjour.
Yeah. And that was Rudy Gobert saying bonjour, but seems like the Timberwolves have said goodbye to any chance of winning the series. I think.
And I don't know much about history, but
I do know that 3-1 is not a great look.
Start here.
2 years in a row, this is what somebody's saying. 2 years in a row, Ant has gotten massively outplayed by a peer his age range in the Western Conference Finals. So somebody's saying about Anthony Edwards. And I mean, OKC is a better, this is where it gets confusing because OKC, they are a better team than the Timberwolves as a whole. But yes, Shea is also playing better. So here, and this is the Brock Purdy thing. If they swap teams, are the Thunder still up 3-1? My initial thought is yes, right?
I think it's 2-2. I think you flip last night's game if you put Shea and Ant on different teams, but every other game in the series has been resounding victories for the teams that were at home, essentially. Yeah. But I think last night's game, the difference was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had a 40-point playoff game, and Anthony Edwards went 1 for 7 from the three-point line.
Yeah.
I saw the stat going around that, like, every statistical category the Timberwolves had the Thunder beat. Their bench had more points than their starters last night. The Timberwolves should have won that basketball game, and Oklahoma City, in large part because of Shea, pulled that out at the end.
Yeah, and Kyle, you had Thunder in 7. I had Minnesota in 6. I mean, that's absolutely cooked.
Well, it is literally cooked at this point. It is impossible for Minnesota to win in 6. I told you, man, those young boys are coming. They are absolutely breaking the mold of NBA history. Yeah, stop looking at me like that. I swear, Jesus.
Bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein.
Go ahead.
The Thunder are so good. Stop looking at me that.
I'm just the young boys, huh? All right. On the other side, Eric Martins joins us to talk a little bit of A's baseball as they get off of their losing streak. Can they bring some more W's to their record? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein.
Visit SacktownSports.com and join the Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009,
Since
customer service is our
1983,
number one
Nissan
priority.
has been
Our
a-
customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Your one-stop Honda shop. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the NBA Finals.
In the NBA Finals, any moment can become unforgettable. Now is your chance to watch the next moment you'll remember forever.
Jordan, open. Chicago with the lead.
Unforgettable awaits.
Anything's possible.
The 2025 NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV begin June 5th on ABC.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Testing.
We are live from Chick-fil-A.
This is Grant.
And this is Laura.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that sweet bun.
And that chicken filet was perfectly crispy and soft at the same time.
And that Smokehouse Barbecue sauce, it's a lot of fun. And the brown sugar bacon definitely had a little bit more pizzazz. Also, the Mac, one of the all-time greats. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local, but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
What's going on? I'm talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Chad, tell me what's happening for Chrysler's Employee Pricing Plus event.
There's been a lot of talk lately about electric vehicles, and this has to be one of my favorites. And right now, don't just get the employee pricing, get Employee Pricing Plus with a little extra Hoblet discount. When you save up to $10,000 off MSRP on new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xEs. These Jeeps are so much fun to drive and save you a bundle at the pump.
They save money. They look pretty nice, too.
Those Jeeps have been hugely popular, and everyone I've talked to loves them. Plus, you get to experience our award-winning customer service. And remember to check out the new Hoblet Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter with nearly 200 vehicles available and over 50 under $20,000. Whatever you're looking for, Hoblet has it.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
10,000 total net savings after 2,500 factory rebates and 7,500 dealer discounts, including employee pricing for all. Rebates may include 500 first responder bonus cash for eligible first responders. VIN number 24461 and 24463. See dealer for details.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports 1140.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
11 o'clock on the dot. That means on a Tuesday, which means we are joined by Coach Eric Martin, third base coach for the Athletics. Coach, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
You got it. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start here. Well, did you? I know you never really get any off time, but the Memorial Day was yesterday. Did you get to do anything at all, or have you just been running around? I know you're in Houston now, and it never stops. Did you get to do anything?
Yesterday was a rest and recovery day, man. When you get an opportunity to get a day off, and Houston is really not much to do. The weather wasn't great, a little humid, a little rainy, so it was a rest day. I got up, grabbed a little lunch, took a couple naps, did a little scouting, little work on the Astros, and then went to dinner, and then that was really it. So it was a quick one, but it was a good one. Well needed. Got a lot of rest, a lot of recovery, so feel refreshed now.
There you go. And I'm assuming that everybody in that locker room feels a bit more refreshed after breaking that 11-game losing streak against the Phillies last game of the homestand. How did it feel? And, Kyle was out running around. He said, oh, man, it's gotten to 11 when he came back when he came back from California or from Atlanta, and he said, oh man, it got all the way to 11. And, we were out here obviously covering it. I was out at the game on Friday. How did it feel to break that up and kind of start fresh as you get ready for a road trip?
It was good, man. I mean, it was a trip. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we thought we had it on Saturday, and then, that's just kind of what happens in those little stretches right there. It's like you look for something to kind of change the momentum. We thought we had it. And then they came back and took it away. It's a good team, so it's good to get that one on Sunday, get refreshed, get an off day. And now it's like starting over again. It's refreshing. It's, coming in there and play the Astros where, it's our division. So we're still trying to make statements. And, during those 11 games, it's not like we played terrible. We were in a lot of those games. A lot of those games we had the lead. And whether we didn't make a play, we didn't make a pitch, we didn't capitalize on scoring extra runs. All those small things add up to not winning ball games, So it's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's 11 in a row and it sucks, but if you think about it, you can go, 3 and 11 in a 14 game span, but no one's talking about losing those 11 games in 14 games. You're talking about 11 in a row. So, but it's tough. It really was, and so our guys are happy to get that one off their backs and start moving forward now.
Talking to Coach Eric Martins, third base coach for the Athletics. Coach, in those moments, right, throughout the losing streak, I know you have some young players on the team, but there are a good amount of vets as well. Are there any players in particular, as Sacramento starts to kind of learn who the leaders are and learn more about the Athletics as a whole? Are there any players in that clubhouse that the team leads on in those moments to kind of keep everybody up, and are those leaders in that way?
Yeah, I mean, different guys are stepping up. You know what I mean? Rooker's a big part of it. Langoliers is a big part of it. On the pitching staff, you got TJ McFarland. You got guys like that, that have been around the game long enough to know that this is part of it and just how you get yourselves out of it. So it's tough as a coaching staff to be able to stay motivated, but we got to stay positive. You know what I mean? And that's what it is we understand that you go through this, and they lean on us to be positive and be able to be pushed. They see us struggling with it, then it just makes the whole dynamic not very good. It's more, I think it's tougher on us to stay positive, which we are, because we understand that this team is always one game away from breaking it, and also one game away from starting something spectacular, because this team really hasn't even gotten hot yet. So but you're starting to see guys that we need to get hot. Rooker's starting to swing the bat really well. Butler had a big game against us on Saturday coming off the bench. So, those are things that are going to start turning the corner for us. And once we get hot, it's going to be pretty sweet.
Coach, Denzel Clark got pulled up. A couple moves got made towards the end of last week. Denzel Clark looks like he could be a Gold Glover in center field. That's the kind of scouting report on him, just trying to see if he can hit at this level. Had a good start out there in Vegas. What can we expect from Denzel Clark, and kind of what's the plan? I was reading that he's going to get a good amount of time in center field, but how do you kind of balance, let's make sure he gets into a rhythm, or all right, if it doesn't go well offensively, is he ready or not? What's the kind of balance in the plan for Denzel Clark?
Well, he's bringing spectacular athleticism. I mean, I don't know how much people watched the game this week in his first 2 games. He was basically catching balls in right field, catching balls in left field. I mean, even the home run, he was up against the wall. So, I mean, he shows you what he can do. He can definitely go get it. He's a dynamic center fielder, definitely a Gold Glove caliber type player out there. It helps our defense. It helps our pitching staff. So having him out there in center kind of eases a lot of the stress of balls in the gap, and having some guys that, Lawrence out there is really good in right, but, covering some ground for Sodi and being able to come in on some balls. So, when you build your team, you got to be strong up the middle, and you got to be strong defensively up the middle, talking catching, pitchers, shortstop, center fielders. So you bring a dynamic defender like that, it only makes your team that much better. As far as offensively, he's still got some things to work on, but you get him on the bases, he's another guy that can steal some bases. So small ball is part of his game, being able to get some bunts down, be able to execute the small stuff that we need him to, and also working here. We're not afraid to bring some guys up to some, that still need to get better, and put them in situations here where we can see and be hands-on with them. So I mean, if he starts to figure stuff out, I mean, this guy is special talent for sure.
And with that move of Denzel Clark, JJ Bleday was optioned to AAA, kind of struggled at the plate. And, you talk about the difference with Denzel Clark defensively in center field. Is that a situation where JJ Bleday is going to come back up, or if he does come back up, it'll be for Denzel Clark? Or if JJ gets hot, could we see another move made? I think a lot of people were a bit surprised when it was JJ who got optioned. So just curious on what those paths could look like to him getting back to the big ball club.
Well, I think it was just a time for him to go down and reset. I mean, he had a really good year last year. I think he put a lot of pressure on himself this year. JJ is a big, important part of our team still. You know what I mean? So for him to be able to go down, relax, and reset, find his groove back, and if he's able to come when he's able to come back up here and join the team, I don't know what the dynamic is, but if you're able to put a JJ Bleday in left or right field and still have Denzel Clark in center field, now it only improves your outfield, but we have so many options now, which is good. In years past, we never had this much depth to be able to do things like this. So, I mean, as far as that goes, I'm not sure how we would work that out. With that, with having Kurtz at first base and Soderstrom out in left field. So it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what, he needs to go down, reset, get himself better, force his way back up here, and then we have to make the decision on what we want to do with him. So Nick Kurtz has a home run game over the weekend. Does it feel like, I mean, it didn't take very long, and I'm going to ask, does it feel like it clicked? I guess, did it ever not click with Nick Kurtz? Maybe the first week in the bigs? Does it feel like the game is already slowing down for the young rookie? Actually, the last few games is when you can kind of see him finally settled in a little bit, laying off some certain pitches, spitting on balls, getting off some really good swings. I think the first couple of weeks, it was a little overwhelming for him. You know what I mean? It was just adjusting to the league. I mean, these guys are good. They can pitch the scouting report. They know your holes. So he had to find a way to lay off certain pitches, how they were trying to pitch him and get him out. And what you saw like the last week is him starting to lay off certain pitches, get off better swings, making more solid contact. And all of a sudden it was just like, whoa, okay, here we go. Here's the next Nick Kurtz that we expected to see. It's going to take some time, especially him being young. We forget that we just drafted him last year. So he's making adjustments in the big leagues, man. But he's already been an important part of our lineup. And when you see him go, it just makes our lineup that much better.
Jacob Wilson with the home run as well. And I saw, he gets hit by a pitch, and I think everybody was holding their breath. His swing, I think it kind of reminds me, or how he goes about his business, reminds me of Hunter Pence in a way. The swing isn't the same, but, just kind of the hitch that he has going on. His ability to start to hit the ball with some power now. I know we talked about the comparison to Dansby Swanson, and Dansby can get the ball out of the ballpark. Is that something that you guys are hoping he develops more of? Or would you just say not at the expense of his ability to kind of put the ball in play, but would you take maybe a couple more swing and misses for some power? Or do you like how everything is evenly dispersed right now? Because obviously the batting average is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he picks and chooses when to go ahead and himself the swing to get off to drive a baseball, right? And he's pretty smart about it. He'll look and sit certain pitches and be like, you know what, I'm going to take a swing, and try to let one eat right here. And then he can, but the thing about him is if he fouls that pitches off for swings and misses, then he gets back into the count and he can shoot the ball the other way. So that's how special he is, man. I mean, he can do multiple things in the at bat. He'll survey the defense. Here's the hole. Here's how they're pitching me. Let me shoot this. Here's the situation. I might need to drive a ball here, get a sac fly or get a ground ball. And that's special, man. I mean, it's hard to find those kind of guys that can do different things with the bat, right? And it's like every time a third baseman comes in around the league, and after like 2 or 3 games of watching Jacob Wilson, they're like, man, he's like, that guy's pretty good. I'm like, yeah. No, he's special. So he can do many things. I mean, as far as the home runs come, I think he's just going to pick and choose. I can see him hitting, at the end of the year, you'll look up and wouldn't be surprised seeing him have maybe 15 home runs. It just depends. Right? But he's definitely not going to sacrifice it for his average and the ability to be able to put the ball in play and shoot it everywhere else. So he just picks and chooses his times and he goes for there. So, but I'd love the average with about 15 homers. I think that's a pretty good year and a few more walks.
Yeah. He's been doing it more lately just because it was impossible not to do it more lately when he wasn't walking at all. Coach Eric Martins, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in Houston. You can find some barbecue or something somewhere out there in Houston, and we'll talk to you again next week.
It sounds good, Alan. Appreciate it.
That was Coach Eric Martins, third base coach for the Athletics. They lost 11 straight and then figured it out against the Philadelphia Phillies at home in Sacramento. Now they take on the Astros out there in Houston. And taking a look at the AL West, I mean, that's a rough go for you. You lose 11 straight, and now they are 7 games back of the Mariners, where just 2 weeks ago they were in a position where they could be tied for the AL West. The Astros, I mean, the crazy thing is not an insane division this year. The Astros are 28-25. The Mariners are 29-23. So obviously it's still early. Nobody has run away with it, but you go down 7 games, you're going to have to get hot. And the Rangers, that was the secret team that everybody said, hey, don't forget about the Rangers. You know, they fell off last season, but you know, the season before that, they won the World Series. They're 26-29. So kind of unfortunate because there are some opportunities for the A's in the AL West that there's no Dodgers, there's no Yankees, there's no Phillies, anybody like that. That's just kind of controlling the board. But you got to win ball games, and you cannot have the worst home run differential in the league. You can't do
non-Rockies division.
Non-Rockies, who are the worst team in the history of the game.
Yeah, it's a nice little hole they got to dig themselves out of now, because the flip side of your coin of, yes, no one is running away with the AL West, and we all don't believe in the Mariners. The Mariners are that team every year.
Every year.
The flip side to that is the only teams worse than them right now are the White Sox, which everyone knew the White Sox were going to be an all-time bad team, and Baltimore, who just fired their manager and has been in the playoffs the last 2 years. So there's a lot of very good teams in the American League, even if there is not a bunch of great teams. And that's different than the American League of the past, where the Astros went to 7 consecutive league championship series.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. They have a series that they're going to get on into, and it is within the division with the Astros, and that's coming up tonight. When we return, it's our trade candidate of the day, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen.
And this is Sarah Beth.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese.
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, chef. This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
You're home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Thanks again to Coach Eric Martins, third base coach for the A's. We got a little bit more A's coming up later in the show, and there was a clip going around with the kids running around the bases, but they did not get to round third base and touch home plate. They just ran in a straight line after third. So that's always the A's are an easy target right now, and people were having some fun with it. One joke, Kyle. One joke said the A's, the kids weren't allowed to touch home plate because the A's have no home. That's pretty good.
That's pretty clever.
It's like pretty good. And objectively, obviously, we talk A's on this show, just had on Eric Martins. But when something's funny, it's funny. And that was pretty good.
Oh, there's so much funny that we can find. I still don't think we've laughed enough about the shed. Like the fact that they're doing the press conferences for the whole season in a literal garden shed is absolutely hilarious. I mentioned earlier, Kotze had to do the walk of shame after getting ejected.
And apparently if the away coach gets ejected, it would be even worse because he'd have to walk along the warning track. That would be how he would have to get out. Apparently, that's what somebody said.
But that's what Kotze had to do, right?
Yeah, but I guess based on where the away dugout is, it would be walking around right field.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Which would be crazy because you just have to wait.
I mean, that's what you have to do anyways. When the pitchers have to go out to the clubhouse or something, they got to do the walk of shame in the middle of the inning.
Yeah.
It's all very strange, but I'm glad we're able to find the funny in all of it because either the A's were going to go on a miraculous run and we were going to get excited about it, or they were going to be 8 games below 500. And I'm sure the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Like they were a 500 team the first 6 weeks of the season and then lost 11 in a row. You could call it a regression to the mean. I think the mean is probably somewhere in the middle for the A's, is that they're probably going to be 5 games out of the playoffs at the trade deadline, and they're going to have to make some choices about what direction they want to go.
Well, and let's not forget who the A's faced during that stretch or during some of that stretch. Dodgers, Yankees, Giants as well. So they weren't losing to, well, they did lose to the Angels, but they weren't losing to just all bad teams or even these are some of the top teams in the league.
That is true, but it certainly doesn't get easier for them.
No.
They've got Astros 4 against the Blue Jays this week, which the Blue Jays are a playoff team right now. Then you got the Twins. Baltimore, I guess, is an easy team this year. It's one of the few teams that's worse than them at this point. Then they got Angels, Royals, Astros, Guardians, Tigers. So month of June is almost just as brutal for the Athletics.
As we get back into some basketball, and it is time for our trade target. So look, it was I came in saying it was Monday. Obviously, it's Tuesday now. A little bit turned around because of the day off, but I'm trying to do this hint, Kyle. I always do it off the top of my head. This guy is somebody that we've talked about before, a shooting guard from the East Coast, that this is just a team that doesn't really have direction and not really sure if he is still a huge part of what they are trying to do. And we're going to give you 10 seconds here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That person is RJ Barrett. So RJ Barrett is our trade candidate for today. And there are reports coming out that the Raptors may be interested in moving RJ Barrett. This is a guy who is he just made $25.7 million this year. Next year, he'll make $27 million. After that, he'll make $29 million. He's 24 years old. You look at Grady Dick and other players on the Raptors. Now you bring in Brandon Ingram. Not really sure where RJ Barrett fits. He's a young player that I think is right in that second draft. It would be his third at this point. It would be his third team, but that second, third draft candidate where he's about to be 25 and you might have something there. Honestly, he reminds me a little bit too much from what I've seen of D'Angelo Russell, the whole play at your own pace thing. It's not fully for me, but I'd be willing to take a chance on a 24-year-old and get off of course, DeMar DeRozan's contract. We'll talk a little bit more about how the Kings could acquire RJ Barrett, as it looks like the Raptors probably have a couple people now. The Brandon Ingram thing just still doesn't make sense to me. But now that they've done it, I think Grady Dick is probably rated, and Immanuel Quickley, probably both higher on the Raptors priority list. I think Immanuel Quickley is another guy where you could see the Raptors just saying, okay, well, I don't know that we need Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett and Grady Dick all on the team. So a couple names might get brought up here. RJ Barrett, he only played 58 games, 21.1 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game, 5.4 assists per game. His career average is 18.8 as far as his points per game. So 3 points more than that. He shot 35% from three. It's a little bit better than his career. 63% from the free throw line. Goodness gracious. As far as his career is concerned, he was sitting at 21.1 last season, which is essentially the most of his career. If you look at, the 20 points per game last season, that's when the trade happened. So career high in points per game this season. I'm interested. I don't know how much it moves me. I don't know what RJ Barrett is going to be. He's again 24 to 26, man. It really, you go from one of the dudes to, hey, are you going to be worth anyone's time as a star? It really happens that fast. You have Keegan in that realm. You have RJ Barrett in that realm. Just a bunch of dudes where we're just trying to figure out what exactly are you. 24 to 26 is the what are you going to be in this league situation. So that's RJ Barrett. He goes 6'6", so yes, he is a shooting guard, but at 6'6", it does say shooting guard and small forward, so you can stick him there and maybe Keegan at the 3, or Keegan at the 4 rather, and maybe that will work. So he's a guard, yes, but he is a long guard that can double as a small forward.
Yes, and he was the essentially number 3 scoring option on a bad offensive team this last season.
Yeah.
And he was a net positive on the offensive side. He's also tell me if you've heard this before, a below average defender. So you essentially have him kind of in that purgatory of what you talked about a bit with Anthony Simons and Jordan Poole and other players like that, where it's like they have bucket getting abilities and are good enough to be in the NBA, but who's the team that's going to give him the runway to blossom into that guy when the Knicks gave it 4 years, the Raptors have given it 2 years, and RJ Barrett's only playoff appearance was that 1 year that Trae Young said, bowing to the crowd for the New York Knicks. It's hard to kind of compartmentalize that with what his potential could be, but he's also younger than Keegan Murray. So I guess if we're going to make the case that Keegan Murray is not a fully formed NBA player, then potentially RJ Barrett isn't either. But I look at RJ Barrett just kind of as like probably a number 4 at this, a number 3 to number 4 on the offensive side of the ball at this stage of his career, which in fairness is what the Kings might be bringing him in for if they made that deal.
Yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to, this is interesting because, again, based on the age, you are getting a guy that is not in his prime yet. He's 24, 25. So this is, to me, that let's take a mini swing, and if it doesn't work out, we're kind of hybrid tanking, and we're going to get these numbers off the books and go from there. It really just depends. Do you want to go that route, or would you rather just get some expiring deals, if you will, and you stink and you get back into the lottery? This could honestly elongate a little longer than some fans would like, but maybe you keep DeMontis Sabonis a little bit happier and you keep ownership a bit happier because you're not full on tanking. It's more of a slow burn. Hey, maybe we find something to RJ Barrett. If we don't, hopefully we lose some games. I think the problem is you could find yourself in the middle again.
Yes, and they would be banking on hopefully RJ Barrett playing a little bit better on the offensive end of the floor, but the thing that's very nice is, like, on defense he can guard threes, and on offense he's essentially a point guard or a point forward. He brings ball handling in a way that DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine do not. So I think if you added RJ Barrett, that kind of fills your two needs. I don't know if it does it great, but it fills both of your needs. You get ball handling on offense and you get wing defense. Not great wing defense, but you get a wing defender at least. So you get length and you get ball handling in one player. The problem is he's just not great at either. The other fun part is when RJ Barrett, you remember when the Knicks thought they were going to get Zion Williamson for like 4 minutes during that one lottery, and then they ended up getting the 3rd pick in the draft? Guess who was the general manager of the New York Knicks when they selected RJ Barrett?
Let us know.
That would be Mr. Scott Perry, current general manager of the Sacramento Kings. You know who else signed RJ Barrett to this 4-year, $100 million extension with the New York Knicks? That would be Mr. Scott Perry. So he not only drafted RJ Barrett, he also gave him his second contract for $100 million. And then once he left, they traded him for the deal that eventually became OG Anunoby. So you've got a connection there.
You got the connection there. Lefty as well. Can't forget that. Just shout out to all the lefties out there. How can the Kings acquire RJ Barrett? But also something just came in from Bovada, and they have official lines on DeMar DeRozan and where he is going to end up next. You'll never guess who's not on the list. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Louis C.K. in an all-new show, Ridiculous 2025 Tour.
When I was younger, you had to go in the bank. Remember that? You had to go inside the bank. Now you look in the bank, you're like, what are those people doing in there? Are they cleaning? The money's out here.
Friday and Saturday, June 13th and 14th, 8 p.m., the venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit thundervalleyresort.com. Louis C.K. live on stage.
Switch to Comcast Business Mobile and save hundreds a year on your wireless bill. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Restrictions apply. Comcast Business Internet required. Compares 2 unlimited intro lines and lowest price 5G plans of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speed after 30 gigabytes of usage. Data thresholds may vary.
Are you thinking about buying a new car? Well, maybe you're on the fence. Let me help you out. Kyle Draper here from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. From the first time I stepped into the MP of Stockton showroom, I knew I made the right choice. I settled on the all-electric EQS SUV. It's comfortable, stylish, and most importantly, it's safe. Mercedes-Benz has the reputation of making the finest cars in the world. Now it's your turn to experience what I already know. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is the best car buying experience you'll ever have. It's just a short drive down I-5 or anytime at mbfstockton.com.
Hi, I'm Allen Stiles. Injured at work? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they've won over $500 million in settlements. Downtown LA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay zero up front. Call Downtown. Text Injury Help to 40222. That's Injury Help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and centrally located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at SacSuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. SacSuperstore.com.
Saturday, June 7th, the Spears Cars Tours West lights up the Stockton 99 Speedway with limited and pro-only autos, MMI Legends, mini stocks, and NCMA Sprints. Presented to you by Tracy Ford. Gates open at 5, racing at 6. Grab your tickets now at Stockton99.com. Be there.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
RJ Barrett is the trade target for today, and we have a couple different trades we are going to toss around that Kyle is going to present to us. But I did see this, Kyle, and I wanted to mention it. Bovada has just come out with their odds for the favorites in the DeMar DeRozan sweepstakes. And you have in fifth place at plus 525. The Philadelphia, and I'm just obviously thinking about this as to how he would get acquired and what the other team would have to give up. At number 5 at plus 525, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Interesting. That's one we haven't really thought about much. Could you imagine a starting 5 of Maxey, Embiid, Paul George?
Well, you weren't here, but we did trade target as Tyrese Maxey. So we did get DeMar to Philadelphia. We made him go. We made him go. It would cost a lot to get Tyrese Maxey, but this was the idea of swinging high on somebody you think could be a star.
I'm looking at the numbers. It does not look like there's going to be any way that they're going to be able to.
There's always a way.
Make this work without. Oh, let me try it real quick.
We tried it.
Nope.
No, we tried it. The Denver Nuggets come in at number 4, tied at number 3, actually, at plus 375. Kyle's Toronto Raptors also at plus 375.
He's going home.
Which home? Because at plus 220, number 2 on this list, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, everywhere DeMar DeRozan goes is home.
Give me Rui Hachimura.
That is the deal.
And Austin Reeves.
It's not that one. It's Maxi Kleber.
Rui Hachimura and Dalton Knecht right now.
Rui Hachimura and Maxi Kleber.
No. Give me Dalton. Make things right. He was supposed to be ours and the number 1 team at plus 145. Give me Jaime Jaquez. It's the Miami Heat. Give me Jovic and Jaime Jaquez. Thank you very much.
That one might actually. I mean, you could probably get one of them, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving here with something.
I'm leaving here with something.
We're not doing these half-hearted deals anymore. All right, we are leaving here with something. But the team, obviously, that I found it to be interesting, and normally these teams will be on these odds list, is the team that DeMar DeRozan is currently on. The Sacramento Kings are not on this list. And I don't think that's because he's already on the Kings. I think it's because Bovada doesn't think that DeMar DeRozan's going back to the Kings.
Yeah. What is the exact phrasing of it? Because I haven't seen the actual tweet itself. Is the phrasing next team or team he'll play for next year?
The Miami Heat are favorites to land DeMar DeRozan.
Okay, so they're operating in a world where DeRozan is going to get traded, which again is not like, oh my gosh, how shocking. It's just kind of making it more of a reality that, hey, we're starting to get into the nooks and crannies of these trades, and everyone kind of feels like DeRozan's available.
All the teams that are involved, I like the assets that they would have. Like you said, Tyrese Maxey would be tough, so I don't know. I don't want to get into the Kelly Oubre business. I just feel like he always has a 3-year deal somewhere. I don't know where, but it's somewhere. I'm hearing Kelly Oubre and Quentin Grimes. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. So Philadelphia scares me a bit. Unless
it's not even Quentin Grimes. He's a free agent.
Yeah. Philadelphia scares me a little bit.
I'm trying to make it work. If there's a deal where they don't get any of the big four from the 76ers, which is obviously Embiid, George Maxey, and Jared McCain, it would be
something I don't like.
Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, who they could probably just buy out. He'll probably never play for the Kings. So Kelly Oubre, Eric Gordon, and Ricky Council IV.
Yeah, that's not going to fly for me.
And draft picks.
The Denver, I could be brought in based on the draft picks. Denver Nuggets, that name popped up. I believe Kendrick Perkins brought up Denver as well. So Denver, to me, that's probably Michael Porter Jr. type situation there.
Yeah, and the Kings can make that work with the trade exception. It's just, do they want to pay? I'm trying to do the math in my head. Do they want to pay $90 million over the next 2 years for Zach LaVine and Michael Porter Jr.?
Look, you get and we talked about him too. You get a point guard, and you do have snipers all around the arc. So you're taking a bet on. I don't think you're taking a bet on Michael Porter Jr. taking a leap. You're just saying, hey, just be good at what you do. Just be really good at what you do, and we're okay there. Toronto Raptors, as we are talking about RJ Barrett. Yeah, I tried to get Emmanuel Quickley. I don't think the Kings could get Emmanuel Quickley. It depends on how much, again, DeMar's value is, but my initial trade dungeon, it would be hard to get Emmanuel Quickley. Do I like Emmanuel Quickley more than RJ Barrett? Maybe a little, just from a point guard standpoint. I would rather take a swing on Emmanuel Quickley, I think, than RJ Barrett if possible. The Lakers, it's going to be some combination of Rui Hachimura, Vanderbilt, guys like that, Gabe Vincent, guys like that. I'm not opposed to that in the Miami Heat. Yeah, I don't. You have to give me Jaime Jaquez or Jovic, and I really want Jaquez, to be honest with you.
I think Miami would be okay with getting rid of Jaquez at this point. He's older and was not as good last year. I mean, they'd obviously get something else, but is Duncan Robinson moving the needle? I don't feel like that's changing the fortunes of the Kings in any dramatic way. It is interesting that, that we did we did the match game for DeMar DeRozan a couple weeks ago of the teams that would make the most sense for him. Detroit and Orlando both didn't end up on this list of top 5 most likely destinations. I still feel like both of those fits make sense based on where those teams are and where DeRozan's at this stage of his career. Denver, of course, would make sense, but I don't know if Denver wants to go that route. And then at that point, you're kind of left with the Torontos and the Miamis and the teams that are kind of on the fringe that, DeRozan's helping them get back to the play-in, and that seems to be all DeMar DeRozan is good for at this stage of his career, is just dragging teams back to the 9-10 game of the play-in.
Yeah, so, a lot of different teams might be interested in DeMar DeRozan, and RJ Barrett being a name. Do we think he went third, right? Do we think he has any star power? I'm going to be honest. He played on the Knicks. I watched him more on the Knicks. Now he's on the Raptors. We could fire up some highlights here or there. His name, and part of that is Toronto and Toronto not being good, but his name just isn't brought up. And I guess that's the whole point of the sleeper idea, but he ain't getting paid like a sleeper. He's got a healthy contract.
He's getting paid like a number 3, and last year he was a number 3 on the 25th ranked offense in the NBA. So that tells me, and again, his number 1 was not very good. I mean, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, and RJ Barrett is not exactly a fearsome trio at that point. And I will acknowledge, Barrett will be. This is going to be year 7 for him. Domantas Sabonis would be the best teammate RJ Barrett has ever played with, depending on how you feel about 2021 Julius Randle.
Yeah.
I would say without question, this is going to be the best teammate Barrett's had at any point in his career if they make the deal. I know we kind of glossed over it, but the deal is just straight up RJ Barrett for DeMar DeRozan. That's the trade. No draft picks, no nothing. Maybe someone throws in a second either way, but it's basically just RJ Barrett for DeMar DeRozan, which makes sense for Toronto, because if Toronto wants to get from being an 11-12 seed to a play-in team, all the numbers tell you DeMar DeRozan is an excellent offensive player and would essentially be a number 2 on this team with Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley. I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. I've talked about it before, and you gave me the shout this week. You actually informed me about the RJ Barrett rumor with your tweet, but I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides because RJ Barrett is a slightly more expensive, less good version of DeMar DeRozan, but he does have better ball handling abilities, which I think could help the Kings. And of course, it aligns the timelines with him being 24, Keegan being 24, Keon Ellis being 23, Devin Carter being 23. All those quote unquote younger players on the Kings would all be on the same timeline with Sabonis and LaVine.
There is another trade package that could get the Kings RJ Barrett. Let's talk about it when we return. Now on Southside on Sports.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-837-5050. That's 800-837-5050. 800-837-5050.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, you know, summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this half off tune-up right now? It's a special going on, just $24.50 to get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Memorial Day savings explode at latest Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock. Exclusively at MaidasChevy.com. Now that's big, huge. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
What will it cost to acquire RJ Barrett, our trade candidate of the day? Now, I wouldn't put RJ Barrett at the top of my list, but he gets the Kings a little bit younger. He's got a little bit of star power. He's played on a big stage out there in New York, gets moved in the OG deal, and, you know, haven't really heard from him as much since. He is coming off career high in scoring. It's just the team was not very good. So the first trade is just a straight up DeMar DeRozan and RJ Barrett swap. And if you're the Raptors, I mean, even the Raptors, to me, if DeMar DeRozan goes through the Raptors, you can't take 20 shots a game. You can't do it.
Well, he wasn't taking 20 a game on the Kings. I mean, he was in certain games, but I don't think he was putting up that many shots per game.
Well, it was a lot. I know that. And you have, again, a Grady Dick. You have a Scotty Barnes. Okay. You have a Brandon Ingram who you just paid for some odd reason. So those are three guys that I'm probably prioritizing over DeMar DeRozan when it comes to the shot distribution.
It's also interesting. I'm just looking it up real quick here, but RJ Barrett was way more of a volume score than I realized. Yeah, so this is crazy. Last season, DeMar DeRozan took 17 shots per game for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
More than we probably would have liked, but he took 17 per game. On the Raptors, RJ Barrett took 18.9 shots per game last year. It's so funny to think about that because Toronto was a bad offense last year, but in a weird way, DeMar DeRozan fits better into what they're doing than RJ Barrett does. I know the age thing is a little weird, but in terms of their actual skill sets, because they have Quickly, who they can make the primary ball handler and facilitator with Grady Dick at the 2 and Scotty Barnes at the 4. In a weird way, DeRozan is a better fit than RJ Barrett is for them right now. And I'm kind of talking myself into the trade, but I didn't realize just how much of a merchant RJ Barrett was last year.
Well, you're making that deal because Raptor fans would be happy besides Drake. And you make a decision very similar to what the Pelicans did. Hey, we're choosing to, it's good to have young talent, but we can only form so much talent, and there's only one ball, right? So if we think that Grady Dick is more important and Scotty Barnes is more important and Brandon Ingram, who we just paid, is more important, and Emmanuel Quickly, then RJ Barrett, you're just not gonna get enough touches, and we don't want you taking shots. But the same conversation is had with DeMar DeRozan. It's just, hey, DeMar, you're at the end of your road here. You will start you. You might even come off the bench at some point when you need to take over in that closer role. Cool, but yeah, we need you at about 12 shots a game, 15 a game, something like that, closer to 12. If you need to close a game for us, cool. It's easier to tell a 36-year-old that than a 24-year-old and RJ Barrett who's going to say, well, then why am I here?
Yeah, and RJ Barrett's kind of in this weird spot in his career where I guess based on his draft positioning, he's been fine so far, but I think most people would say RJ Barrett has had a bit of a disappointing career up to this point. And that's hard to say for someone who's averaged 20 points per game each of the last, 4 seasons, but he's mostly done it on teams that have lost a lot of games. I'm actually going to look it up, what RJ Barrett's win percentages for his career, but he's been a number 2 or number 3 on a lot of teams that are bad or below average. And I think a big part of that is that they've been bad defensive teams for most of his career.
So the second trade package that Kyle has cooked up, you have the Raptors, okay, acquiring Malik Monk, Terrence Davis, and pick number 42. And why am I most upset with pick 42 being gone in that trade? And the Kings acquiring RJ Barrett. This to me is a bit, I guess, more convoluted than the first one because Malik Monk, I guess you're running him at the 2. Again, what is the best asset that the Raptors are getting in this trade?
I guess it's Malik Monk, but I guess it's also the financial flexibility. Not that they need financial flexibility, but the financial flexibility that comes with getting off of RJ Barrett's contract. Because I think the gap in money there is like $10 million, which the Kings are able to do because they have a little bit of trade space. I'm not going to say cap space. They have trade available space before the apron. But yeah, Toronto, I think it would just be, we don't want RJ Barrett anymore, which based on some of the reports seems like that might be a truer statement than not, is that they don't really want RJ Barrett all that much anymore.
Yeah. And the priority that I see, I know that they've been saying, what was it last year where Scotty Barnes had that leap? And then this year they thought he was going to keep it going. I know last year was a break. They kept telling us it was a breakout season. Nobody watched, but he wasn't. I believe he was an all-star.
He's been an all-star.
Yeah.
I think that was, 2024.
Yeah. So the last year was his leap year, if you will. And then this year, he's another guy. Are you playing? The Raptors stink. So they've made decisions in RJ Barrett. Thank you for your service, but that decision has kind of been made.
I looked it up. He took a step back last year. He shot, his 3-point percentage went from 34% in his all-star season to 27%. His points per game went down. His assists per game went down. His field goal percentage dropped off tremendously. Yeah, no, Scotty Barnes had a tough year last year. I guess, like you said, they were a fun league pass team at the end because you could see Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley. But yeah, Scotty Barnes had a rough season last year.
When I look at Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett, and I know the last time Brandon Ingram looked like a point guard was against the Kings in the play-in when Zion Williamson didn't play. But yeah, I just think they're a smidge redundant. I think RJ Barrett is a much better and more willing three-point shooter than Brandon Ingram. But it's just, again, there's only one ball. Really, the decision wasn't between Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick and RJ Barrett. I think the decision was between Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett, and deciding, Brandon Ingram, who basically a decision was made in New Orleans for Trey Murphy. Now you have the Raptors making a decision. Will that work out for them? I mean, who's going to have a better career, Brandon Ingram or RJ Barrett? Brandon Ingram has definitely had more moments.
Brandon Ingram has made an all-star team.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram has definitely had more moments. I would maybe trust that the way that they're trusting it. He's had some injury issues, but yeah, RJ Barrett, to me, what that ceiling is a little bit confusing, and I don't know. That's the one guy where the Raptors aren't going to be able to shop him around and really say, oh, well, who wants RJ Barrett? Right? We're going to the highest bidder. I just don't think that the bidder is that high, because so many teams, you either sink in. We have our own questionable 24-year-old that we're still trying to, and we don't have 4 others like you do. So we're going to keep our 24-year-old and see if he can figure it out. The Kings, they don't, and we have multiple, really, a lot of these teams, the Kings don't. So the Kings might say, yeah, do we need RJ Barrett as far as that position? Maybe, but would we rather have him at 24 than DeMar DeRozan at 37? Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. He essentially, we've been talking about they need length and they need ball handling. He essentially gives them a backup version of both of those things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they would rather have Jake LaRavia defending threes than RJ Barrett, but at least RJ Barrett can defend threes instead of DeRozan, where they just had to hide him in the corner the whole time. And then ball handling, you don't want him as your primary point guard, but RJ Barrett can handle the ball better than Zach LaVine or better than DeMar DeRozan did. So,
and I don't even. You could throw Malik in there too. I wouldn't, but in spurts,
I would
maybe.
rather have RJ Barrett ball handling than Malik Monk.
Yeah, RJ Barrett, his career only 3.3 assists, but he did have 5.4 this past season, so he's over my threshold as far as the assists are concerned. And it's a fine swing if you're going to go in that direction. I'd rather just go get Jonathan Kuminga if the Warriors. Now, again, the Warriors would have to be interested, but that's who I would rather take a chance on. A little bit younger, more athletic at this point in time. Obviously, RJ Barrett's a better shooter and a better distributor of the basketball, but I would rather go with RJ Barrett or with Jonathan Kuminga.
Bringing it back to the Barrett and his future point, if you had to guess right now, RJ Barrett got $27 million per year on his second contract. Do you believe that his third contract is going to be for more or for less?
Less.
You would say less?
I would say less.
Well, then at this point, he's a number 4, right? Because in the modern NBA, $27 million means you're a number 3, right? DeRozan's making $25 million. He's a number 3. Malik Monk's making $18 million a year. He's a number 4, right? So the idea is he's a number 3 now, and he's about to be passed around to his third team on this contract.
I'm saying I could be wrong, and then he does get the bag, right? It's essentially, it's funny, you're trying out while making $30 million, but it's basically I'm trying out for my next contract in through the guise of me performing with my now third team of my career.
Yeah, because essentially last year they wanted a big three of Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, and RJ Barrett. And at the midpoint of the season, they decided RJ Barrett ain't a number 3. And they got a nice little discount on Brandon Ingram, but they did have to give up a first-round pick to get Brandon Ingram and then pay him $40 million. So that big three is going to be Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, and Brandon Ingram. If you integrate DeMar DeRozan, I think DeMar DeRozan works alongside Brandon Ingram in a way that I know they're both mid-range assassins, but I think your team makes a little bit more sense that way than it does with RJ Barrett being a spot-up shooter, because that's not RJ Barrett's best ability.
There's another team interested in DeMar DeRozan. Would you make a move to send him to the East Coast? Down south, Sacktown Sports.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. pricing participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Warning, the national debt is spiraling out of control. Trade wars are causing record volatility, and inflation could make a devastating comeback. Will you sit on the sidelines and wait, or will you take action today to help protect your hard-earned retirement savings? And what if you could do it tax and penalty-free? Find out more by requesting your free 2025 gold and silver kit from the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Plus, you could get an unlimited instant match on bonus silver if you qualify. Call 855-969-GOLD to learn more. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Chad, what's going on for Chrysler's Employee Pricing Plus event?
We all love employee perks, and nothing is better than getting the employee price. But we are going even further. Right now, you can save up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 2025 Ram 1500 Crew Cabs. Plus, with over 500 new Rams available, your perfect truck is waiting at Hoblet.
It's nice getting all the employee benefits without the work.
But with Hoblet, it's not just employee pricing. We are a 5th-generation family-owned dealer, and when you buy at Hoblet, you become part of the family. Plus, you get to experience our award-winning customer service. And remember to check out our Hoblet Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter with nearly 200 vehicles available and over 50 under $20,000.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
$16,000 total net savings on select new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie after $3,500 factory rebates and $12,500 dealer discount, including employee pricing for all. Rebates may include $500 on the job upfit for eligible upfit. 5% net savings. Sample VIN 93559. See dealer for details.
Hi, Sacramento. It's the No Surprise guys at Bell Brothers Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Is your AC on the fritz? Call Bell Brothers. Looking to replace your old unit with a 0% financing and no payments for 12 months on approved credit? Call Bell Brothers. We're fast, reliable, and respect your time by showing up when we say we will. The price we quote is the price you pay. We are the No Surprise guys. Call today to get a free estimate on a new HVAC system, or simply schedule your $87 AC Precision tune-up to keep your system running smoothly. With more technicians, more trucks, and more experience, we get the job done right the first time. No surprises. Our technicians are all background checked, drug tested, and will leave the work area cleaner than they found it. Don't wait. Call Bell Brothers today or book online at nosurpriseguys.com. That's nosurpriseguys.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland, and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
12 o'clock on the dot. Plenty of DeMar DeRozan rumors heating up. And again, you go from, I don't know, who's going to want DeMar DeRozan to all of a sudden connected to a ton of different teams, including the Miami Heat. And this is another Siegel Scoops part of that article that came out again. Brett Siegel will be joining us tomorrow at 12 to break down all things DeMar DeRozan, as well as Domantas Sabonis and anybody else that might be thrown around the trade generator out there and what he's hearing throughout the league. And this is from Heat Nation via Clutch Points. Like I said, the Heat are expected to be buyers this offseason and seek to make upgrades around Adebayo and Hero. DeMar DeRozan is viewed as a potential target for the Heat. And, you know, again, the Heat are a team that they've kind of been a little stubborn, right? They decided not to pay Jimmy, but then they didn't trade Jimmy over the summer, and they knew Jimmy wanted an extension. They brought him back anyway, and I would say they lost the Jimmy situation, and they did get back at Andrew Wiggins, who we know can play the game at a high level at times. And to be completely honest with you, it did get me thinking whether or not the Kings should be interested. I think the fear with Andrew Wiggins is that you are going to have a Harrison Barnes type situation, but Andrew Wiggins making $28 million, DeMar DeRozan making $24 million, that works right now, right? That works right now with 2 years left on the deal for Andrew Wiggins. And you get a guy who he can defend. He shoots the three ball pretty well. He's obviously younger than DeMar DeRozan. Like I said, and every time we talk about Andrew Wiggins on this show, somebody say he's soft. I don't want Andrew Wiggins. I mean, he's 30 years old, right? Like I said, he's making $28 million. So in reference, that's $1 million more than RJ Barrett, who, is 24, 25. I don't really know what you're getting with RJ Barrett. I feel like you know what you're getting with Andrew Wiggins. This would be another opportunity. I think you get better defensively, number one. Okay. Domantas Sabonis, I think you can definitely sell him on Andrew Wiggins being that guy and at least helping out defensively. It definitely helps Keegan Murray, and you have Zach LaVine. This is a deal that I think could for sure happen. And then you go get this is what I'm talking about. This wouldn't be the same because you're not running it back because DeMar DeRozan would be gone. But this to me is a very likely scenario where you go get an Andrew Wiggins where you can say, hey, Scott Barry is the one saying it to us. We got younger, we got better on defense, and we can stretch the floor better because Andrew Wiggins can shoot the three ball. And we got more athletic, right? And now we're going to go get Dennis Schroeder, Tyus Jones, and that's what we're going to do. And a lot of people would say that's another 9-10 seed, maybe a 7 seed. And you know what? You're probably not wrong. But maybe you get another 2022 Andrew Wiggins and a 2024 Bulls Zach LaVine with a leap from Keegan Murray, and you sneak into, you sneak into a 6 or, like I said, a 7, giving yourself 2 chances, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's one part of another upgrade, right? They get Andrew Wiggins and a point guard. Mm-hmm. They get RJ Barrett and a point guard. Those are the types of smaller upgrades that are honestly, they're the options that are on the table for them at this point, right? There's not a lot of, okay, we've mentioned before, obviously DeRozan could be packaged for a larger star. We've mentioned the Ja Morants, the Trae Youngs, the LaMelo Balls, etc. In a world where they don't get one of those players or those players aren't available, then you're looking at trying to find number threes that fit your timeline better and fit your needs, right? Domantas Sabonis said at the exit interview, we need a point guard. Maybe DeMar DeRozan gets flipped for, we've talked about them before, the DeJounte Murrays, the Cole Anthonys, the CJ McCollums, whoever else type of point guard. Or maybe he gets flipped for wing, defense, and athleticism, where you're talking about, we mentioned RJ Barrett, Tobias Harris, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. There's just a bunch of names, Jrue Holiday, that have been thrown around. There's a bunch of different ways this goes, but in a lot of them, it is an Andrew Wiggins type of situation like you're talking about, where it's like, okay, maybe this one move didn't make us better, but it's in conjunction with other moves like bringing back Jake LaRavia and adding a point guard and someone making a leap that will then make them a better, more balanced roster.
So if you're asking me, would you rather have RJ Barrett than Andrew Wiggins? I think that I would rather just have Andrew Wiggins, because if you're not going to rebuild, I'd rather keep the timeline a little older, actually, because that would be closer to making a decision. I think RJ Barrett gives you more fake belief that, hey, now we have another young talent who's 24, 25, and then we got to watch 2 years of seeing if RJ Barrett's going to be a dude along with Keegan Murray. And respectfully, that's just, I think, a waste of everybody's time.
Well, if we're making it RJ Barrett versus Andrew Wiggins, there are fun connections to both of them. We mentioned Scott Perry drafted and extended RJ Barrett during his time with the New York Knicks. And with Andrew Wiggins, people may forget that, remember how Wiggins was the number one pick in the draft by Cleveland, and then Cleveland traded him to Minnesota for Kevin Love? Remember who else was in that 2014 draft class for the Minnesota Timberwolves? Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins were both rookies in Minnesota together. They played 3 seasons together. I've heard, just from talking to not sources, but just people, that their relationship is still really good, even though they haven't played together for years. So they have that familiarity with each other, and maybe that helps Andrew Wiggins just being in a comfortable spot with a guy that he knows his game, really likes him. They still hang out at times. Maybe that helps. And maybe Andrew Wiggins, maybe you get a better version of Andrew Wiggins than the Warriors and Heat got at the end of these last couple seasons. Who knows? There's little things like that where you never know how it's going to work out.
Yeah, and as far as the Heat go with DeMar DeRozan, I'm looking here because somebody said, no, we don't need, on the text line, somebody says, no, we don't need another power forward, Hero or Mitchell, and draft picks. Another power forward, because the Kings have so many power forwards.
Are they talking about Wiggins?
I think, yes.
I don't think Wiggins has ever played power forward.
Yeah, but just the idea that we're going to say no to a wing, small or power, because we have, and to use the word another is crazy, because who are the forwards on this team that you speak of, 916? Because DeMar DeRozan would be leaving. Zach LaVine is really a 2. You have Keegan Murray and maybe Jake LaRavia. And again, Jake LaRavia is more of a small. Yeah. So, and the other part of that is Davion Mitchell has a club option that they could opt into. Obviously, the club could. But, yeah, if you're getting DeMar DeRozan, yeah, I don't think getting Davion would be a problem. I think it would be, are the Kings getting enough back? I mean, if you're saying fine, would it be what? Jaime Jaquez and Davion Mitchell? I would do that.
Also, Davion Mitchell's a restricted free agent.
Right. Well, the club option is what he just played on.
Yes.
Right. So now he's a restricted free agent.
Yes, which they could sign and trade him.
They could sign and trade. So Davion and Jaime Jaquez for DeMar. Now that feels like the Heat would say, well, we need something back.
I disagree. Davion and Jaime Jaquez is.
I think somebody's either undervaluing Jaime Jaquez or overvaluing Jaime Jaquez?
I mean, Davion Mitchell just got salary dumped twice in the last year. Let's not pretend like Davion Mitchell making $15 million is a catch.
Take Davion out of it then. And
if I made it Wiggins and Jaquez?
Well, I'm just saying Jaquez and Davion, right? Let's say no Wiggins. Jaquez, Davion, and you probably need something else for the money. But I'm saying Davion is kind of the sweetener. Jaime Jaquez, to me, is a guy who was pretty close to untouchable. Now he's coming off a bad season. I think if you're the Heat, you probably would rather trade Andrew Wiggins than Jaime Jaquez.
Yeah, for sure. But again, that's just the age thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wiggins is a better... I mean, this goes back to the RJ Barrett, DeMar DeRozan conversation. DeRozan is a better player right now, but does he inherently have more value because he's older? That's something that those two sides have to kind of evaluate on their own, and I think there's good arguments for both sides, right? Wiggins is a better player right now than Jaime Jaquez.
Yes.
But you're guessing that Jaime Jaquez may end up in the long run being better. And if you're the Kings, do you take that risk versus the proven commodity right now of Wiggins?
So when I see the Kings and some of the moves that they could make, could you make the argument, well, Allen, if you want Andrew Wiggins more than RJ Barrett because you want to keep the timeline a bit older, shouldn't you want Andrew Wiggins instead of Jaime Jaquez? Unless you think Jaime Jaquez is going to be a star. I think that it's probably the same thought process. So even though I would like Jaime Jaquez, I think the reality is at 24 years old, it's okay, let's see Keegan and Jaime Jaquez cook for a couple years and we end up in the same spot, which could, again, take more time than if you just get Andrew Wiggins. It either works or doesn't work. Cool, let's all get off this ride.
Yeah, it's tough because I think we're learning that outside of your number one, I don't really think the timelines matter all that much for your peripheral players. I think if your number one is 23 years old, like Anthony Edwards or Scotty Barnes, those are two different 23s, right? Anthony Edwards is in a position where he's ready to compete for a championship right now versus Toronto's in the camp of like, hey, is Scotty Barnes ever going to be a true number one? Maybe we should try and find younger players that could one day supplant him as the number one, right? So for the Kings, they obviously have Sabonis, who's about to turn 30 or just turned 30. You have Levine, who's 30. Obviously, their timeline is aligned with people who are 28 to 30, but that doesn't mean that young players can't also contribute because you have to pay... and this goes back to the Jaime Jaquez point. You have to pay Wiggins $25 million a year. You only have to pay Jaime Jaquez $5 million. So at $5 million versus $25 million, you'd rather take Jaime Jaquez.
Another star is a part of some posturing on the East Coast, or are they telling the truth? We'll tell you who it is when we return. Now in South Sacktown Sports.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-902-5454. 800-902-5454.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/SacktownSports1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
916-339-1140. And there is a report from Will Giori, who covers the Pelicans. And Will says, for The Athletic, Zion Williamson and the Pelicans front office have spoken several times already and feel good about where things stand. Williamson, representing them at the lottery, was intentional to show both sides are moving forward together. Is it one of those situations where Zion, when I, bring up Dame and how he was kind of just enjoying himself in Portland, and that's all fine and good, I don't really hate him for it, right? You got to go win somewhere. Maybe you don't, right? Or maybe, hey, I want to win here, and I just don't really feel like moving. These are humans, and maybe they like where they're at, right? Maybe Zion at this point in time, he's got at least a couple kids now. Maybe he just sees New Orleans, and he's thinking, I feel pretty comfortable here. People aren't really on my back. I don't really people talking about him as a bust, but I don't really have to deal with a lot of pressure out here in New Orleans. If I do go to Brooklyn or I do go to New York, that's going to be a completely different process. Zion, that would be the most pressure Zion's faced since Duke years ago. So, and maybe his first year or two, but now nobody even thinks about Zion in the same way. And you'd have people like, I don't want to speak for you, Kyle, but, people would say, well, if you look at when he's played, he actually hasn't been a bust. So it comes down to the whole injury conversation. And obviously the Pelicans haven't done much in the postseason, but now he's saying, I'm good with the Pelicans. And we saw this happen with Donovan Mitchell when everybody thought that Donovan Mitchell was going to leave the Cavs, and he didn't. Right now, he got that extension, and that was a lot of the reason he stayed, and Zion already got paid. But at this point, you look around the market, and I always joke about that movie, Hall Pass, one of the great underrated movies, I would say, of our generation, where the two guys think that they could still be out in these streets and that their wives are holding them back. And, of course, they get hall passes, which is an excuse to do whatever they want, a week off from marriage, basically. And they realize that them streets ain't the same as the streets used to be. And if you're Zion, you're looking around, and he's a guy I don't even really see too much smoke as far as the rumors, right? You're hearing more. Can you imagine? We're hearing more about DeMar DeRozan rumors than Zion, because people are just, when he's going to play, right? And how should I evaluate him? You want first? Cam Johnson's a lottery pick. Zion's got a higher ceiling than Cam Johnson, but can't stay on the floor. I don't know nobody knows what to value Zion at. So it makes sense to me that, hey, we've moved on from Brandon Ingram. It's going to be you, Trey Murphy. You get Herb Jones back. I don't know what happens with CJ. You get DeJounte Murray back at some point. We haven't even got a chance to see what this looks like. So let's go ahead and do that. And Zion, again, 24 years old. So he's in that 24, 26. Who you going to be range? I just don't think that anybody can correctly assess what Zion Williamson's value is right now.
Yeah, that's what's so hard, is what direction do the Pelicans want to go? And it seems like they're in the direction of retooling around Zion a little bit, maybe bring in their own, shooting guard other than CJ, or try and bring in a better number two. I don't know, but that team was a playoff team when Zion was healthy a year ago. So I would imagine they'd be right back in contention this coming season without all the catastrophic number of injuries, and they have a lottery pick this year. So who knows? Maybe that lottery pick ends up becoming the next Jared McCain or the next good young prospect in the league that they can say, hey, now we have something cooking here, and we've got great players at 5 different positions.
Yeah, and if you're Zion, you don't even know it, depending on where you go. Okay, am I going to be a second option? Am I going to be a first option? Everybody in New Orleans, we know it goes through Zion out there, and whether they keep a CJ McCollum or whatever it is, in theory, and Yves Missi, who they added as well, who's played really well in his rookie season, in theory, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And I think this is the Pelicans and Zion just coming. If this is true, like I said, some of it could be posturing, but I just don't know if their phone is ringing as incessantly as Scott Perry's was when the Kings coaching position was open. I just don't, because how's that call go, right? I'm the Nets, and I just said that Cam Johnson is worth a lottery pick to us, right? Hey, what's up? We're interested in Zion. And the Pelicans, who they just had that firing and hiring, right, for who's making those basketball decisions. The Pelicans say, cool, what do you think for Zion? And the Nets say, okay, we didn't get Giannis. Let's go ahead and take a swing at Zion. Let's get him in New York and see what happens there. We have to do a Nick Claxton, whoever, to make the money work, and a first-round pick, right? Pelicans might say, well, you think that Cam Johnson's worth the first-round pick. So Zion, to me, is worth 2. And then there's a back and forth there, and the Nets would say, well, you got to play to be worth the pick. So I think that there is a world where Zion is a backup to a Giannis, the same way DeMar DeRozan could be a backup to Kevin Durant. I think the difference is, hey, we're paying for a backup Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan. Zion is not getting paid, we didn't hit on Giannis. Zion is getting paid a lot of money. So it's a true plan B swing, but with plan A money.
But there are contingencies in Zion's contract that says if he plays less than X number of games, the contract isn't guaranteed. So at least there's that contingency plan. The only way it goes
what's the worst contingency plan? Hey, we don't trust your health and you like beignets, or hey, Kyler Murray, you game too much.
It's definitely the Zion one. I mean, saying, hey, you game too much is worse than you have to hit certain body fat. I was reading that contract, like there's bi-monthly, so twice through, every 2 months.
Yeah.
They have to do weight checks on Zion. And if he hits every weight check, 20% of his contract gets guaranteed.
I have it right here. Further protections via weight must be less than 295 pounds, body fat monitored.
Yeah, that's crazy to have that. Like Luka
is going to need that, right?
No, because Luka is relatively healthy and puts up 34 points a game. Zion is not healthy, and for some reason always gets, this has been a problem for 5 years with Zion now, where we've been talking about this, which, to your point about the trade, it's just what do the Pelicans want to do, right? Because let's say, I think Portland would make a lot of sense for Zion right now. Let's say they give them Jeremy Grant, Klingon, and their lottery pick this year and a future first or something like that. What are the Pelicans doing with, assuming they get rid of CJ McCollum, what are they doing with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Klingon, 2 lottery picks this year, and Jose Alvarado? That's a tanking team.
Yeah.
Where now they're at the bottom of the lottery trying to do the exact same thing they just did 3 years ago.
Ridiculous. And, we talked about Zion. I'd be interested, but again, it's the price tag, and I'm not paying that much for Zion. Let's get to TC before we get to the break here. 916-339-1140. What's up, TC? What you got for us?
Alan, what's up, man?
Hey.
What's up with you guys? Just tapping in. So, hey, I kind of want to get in on the Miami. I think that's a big deal as far as the Kings standpoint. Even the Jrue Holiday deal. I think so. Alan, you disagree on that one, on Holiday straight up for DeRozan? You say no on that one, right?
I would do it. It's just not the first thing I'm lining up to do, but I do it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking I'm even attaching a first round pick to DeRozan in that deal, because you think about him, Keon, and Keegan, bro, in the starting lineup, that's nasty. Plus that we got our point guard, so even a Jaime Hopkins or even a Wiggins. It's about getting DeRozan to a good spot, but it's also, Kings fans, it's about getting the players in to help us move forward, right? Mm-hmm. So we can't get so caught up and hung up on what's too much for a player.
Yeah, thanks for the call, TC. Great stuff as always. Yeah, I need something else. I need a Sam Hauser. I need something if I'm taking on Jrue Holiday's contract. And TC mentioned a pick. I mean, I don't know if it's that bad that Boston would would give you a pick. That pick, obviously, because it's Boston, you don't know, how valuable it would be, but I can't do it straight up. When I say I would do it, I need something else along with it if I'm taking on the Jrue Holiday contract. We have more Kings talk coming up. The All-NBA teams were announced on Friday, and there were no Sacramento Kings on it, but we do want to take some time to talk about the A's and just some of the confusion that's been happening out here in Sacramento as yet another situation has occurred. And yeah, there's more fighting about who's right, who's wrong when it comes to the Athletics. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kip Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kip Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sacktown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Typically, a high handicapper carries an index of 20 or more. Golf Monthly's Barry Plummer offers 4 tips if you're tired of that high handicap. First, choose the right equipment. Invest in a 5-wood, which is more forgiving than a 3-wood or 3 hybrid. It's a much better option for getting the ball in the air. Second, play for bogey on par 5s. Break the longer holes into manageable chunks, perhaps aiming to hit the green with 4 easy swings while also navigating away from the trouble along the way. 3, leave the sand wedge in the bag for chipping. Up and down percentages are almost twice as good when chipping a 9-iron over a sand wedge, and 3.5 times better with the putter. And finally, stop leaving your putts short. A 20 handicapper leaves 55% of their missed putts short of the hole. Give yourself a chance with every attempt and don't leave another putt short. Try these simple tips and let's see whether your handicap starts to come down. And have some fun out there. That'll help too. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. What's going on, Chad, for Chrysler's Employee Pricing Plus event?
If you've been struggling to find the right Ram heavy duty that fits within your budget, the search is over with Hoblet's Employee Pricing Plus event, where we give you the employee price and then take even more off. Right now, save up to 10% off MSRP on brand new 2025 Ram heavy duty 2500s and 3500s. Don't miss your chance to save big like the Employee of the Month at Hoblet Dodge.
And you're always one of the top Ram truck dealers in the entire nation. nation.
It's true, and I think it boils down to our huge selection of hard-to-find Ram heavy duties with over 300 available and our award-winning customer service.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HoblettDodge.com.
10% total net savings on select new 2025 Ram 3500 Laramie after 1,500 factory rebates and 9,075 dealer discount, including employee pricing for all. Rebates include $500 on the job upfit. Must show eligible upfit. And Hoblet discount between $7,100 and $9,075, depending on trim level, for a total of 10% off MSRP. Aid of this net savings. Sample VIN 02043. See dealer for details.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
The A's lost 11 straight games. They still continuing to struggle at home, and they have the second worst home record, by the way, and the second worst run differential in Major League Baseball. Only the Rockies are worse. And, you know, something went around this weekend, and it was kids run the bases out in Sacramento. They did not get to touch home plate. There was a runoff at third base. They just ran clean off the field. And, you know, I thought maybe they could have, I think it's all about wear and tear, and they could have let the kids round third base and then just run off to the side, do it that way, but they did not do that. Some people got wind of it and started roasting. So then, of course, the Sacramento police, right, and they're not actually policemen, but the protectors of Sacramento,
defenders of honor.
Yes, defenders of Sacramento's honor sprung into action. And it doesn't even if there's nothing, you can't defend that, right? It's a bad look. It's funny. It's somebody said, like I said, somebody said the kids couldn't touch home plate because the A's have no home. All right. I think it's great for the A's, or great for the city of Sacramento, the A's being out here, but it's funny, right? But the protectors, the guardians of the city of trees sprung into action and, you know, saying, well, you said you weren't even going to go to a game, and they're roasting. And, you know, I'm just watching all this from afar. I'm not being a part of it. But the reality is this is a bad look for the A's. I don't know that it's a bad look for Sacramento, because one person that kind of, and not to get into the politics of it, but you have Kings ownership, obviously a big part of it, because same ownership as far as the venue is concerned, the ballpark. But as far as Sacramento as a city looking bad, I don't think that, you know, or I would hope, I know there's some people, don't go to games and John Fisher this, John Fisher that. But for the most part, you know, it's easy to say when the team isn't in your city. It's easy to say how you would act if the team was in your city when the team isn't actually in your city. So I don't think there is much to say about Sacramento. I think they've done what any other city would do, and they've gone and support. But support what, right? Support a team that is almost ashamed of you. I've used the joke before. It's like when you move somewhere, but you don't change your address on your driver's license because, this isn't my forever home. I'm just staying here, right? Me and my wife, we moved back in with my parents during COVID, saved up some money, but did not change the address. Because no, I don't live. I'm here now, but I don't live here. And that's what the A's have continued to do and continue to show. You can't watch a game without Circa in the background or Viva Las Vegas in the outfield. It's just, we get it. You're leaving. But that doesn't mean that you can't ingratiate yourself a little bit more in the community. And it would behoove you, just from a PR standpoint and also from a financial standpoint. I just think when you look at how this has gone so far, and again, it's not about the city of Sacramento or Sacramentans, you could tie your own shoelaces together and not trip over yourself as much as the A's and John Fisher have. They literally cannot get out of their own way with this stuff. And it's just so simple. It's just so easy to me, right? You make one jersey with Sacramento on it. Would Las Vegas find that disrespectful? Why would they? You're in Sacramento. And honestly, Las Vegas should be happy with Sacramento because they're allowing the A's to have a home while you build that stadium and ensure that it goes through. I believe ground broke on it. Vegas is happy. So I don't think Vegas would feel any type of way. Hey, you have a cool City Connect Sacramento jersey. That's great. Can't touch home base because you have no home. You are doing a terrible job ingratiating yourself in the city. You're getting treated like a mistress. The city of Sacramento is getting treated like a mistress. That's what it is.
In the same way that Sacramento is embarrassed, don't you think Las Vegas people should be embarrassed in a similar vein, right? Because the problem is not Sacramento. The problem is the Athletics. And so if the Athletics are essentially Las Vegas's team that's just not in Las Vegas yet,
right?
Las Vegas people can't be looking at this and being like, that's so funny. Imagine what's going to happen when we are getting this team, right? The dumb thing, they're still the Athletics. They're still John Fisher's team, and they're still going to have missteps. I can't remember which reporter said it, but it's like, this is what happens when you do business with John Fisher, right? It's happening to Oakland yesterday. Sacramento today gets the embarrassment. Tomorrow it'll be Las Vegas, right? So the Las Vegas people can't be thrilled with the way that this whole experience in Sacramento has looked on the outside.
I don't know how much, from what I've seen, I think that, and it's, you got Oakland fighting two cities. You got Oakland fighting Sacramento, Oakland fighting Vegas. There's no real Vegas versus Sacramento fight because the only thing I've seen between Las Vegas and Sacramento is we think it's going to fall through, and when it does, it's going to stay in Sacramento. And people in Vegas saying, no, we're actually breaking ground, and this thing is happening. So I don't know what you're talking about. To me, John Fisher had multiple opportunities, and the A's had multiple opportunities to fix the mess up, right? And like I said, I was there on Friday, and there were people that flew out because I wanted to go because it was the Phillies. I told, I ran into some fans, and I'm not working, but I'm working and I'm talking to them. They flew out from Philly to see the game. Now, I think that's a great look for Sacramento because you are 2 hours from Tahoe, an hour or two from the Bay. So they said, hey, we're going to fly out, kind of make a trip out of it. We get this cool experience. Prices are dropping on those tickets as well. And we go about it that way. But as far as the A's are concerned, it's a bunch of fans. I don't know how many fans in that ballpark are fans that became fans because they're in Sacramento. Like, what percentage of A's fans on a 10,000 attendance night, since every night's at least 10K, by the way. They've never had one under 10K.
At least not since the second week.
No, it's not possible. It's not possible. So out of that 10K, you take out the fans of other teams, whether it's the Mets or the Phillies or the Yankees. We know what the Yankees had going on. And how many fans are there because, you know what? The A's are in town now, and I'm an A's fan. Why? Right? They don't represent you. You're essentially a part of a tryout, an alleged tryout that we have no confirmation on whether or not this tryout is actually a real tryout, right? It's like when you would go to a workout for your high school team, but it was an unofficial workout and the coaches were there. And then, of course, you have your best game, right? You're balling out, but it wasn't the actual tryout. But the coach saw you. He's got that reference, but it wasn't the try. You still have to perform at the tryout. We don't even know if it was an actual tryout.
No, this is just an arrangement of convenience, right? My takeaway from this whole thing, and I've been to, I guess, like 8 or 9 of these games now and different teams and experiences, is like all of this very easily could have been done in Oakland.
Yeah.
Right? You would have had more vitriol. You would have sold a few more seats for that Yankees series probably. This all could have been done in Oakland.
Yeah.
This should have probably still been done in Oakland. this is just a weird arrangement of convenience. It's not even a marriage. It's just an arrangement of convenience. And it's cool that it's happening. It's unlike anything that's happened before, but it's morally really challenging to jump through all the hoops, while at the same time, like you said, the Athletics are essentially showing their you-know-what every other week with some sort of ridiculous scandal or silly story, or, something that people can look at and be like, haha, look at this silly, dumb team. Either the scoreboards don't work, or the drones are flying on the field, or you're in the shed, or the kids can't run the bases, or
Kotze was complaining because where the dugout is, if there is a play in the corner, you can't challenge it, or you have to guess, essentially, because there's not enough time to get everything relayed and he can't see. So, yeah, I mean, part of it feels like Sacramento might be getting done a solid to not be associated with the A's. It might turn into, no, we don't want, hey, I want a label, right? Or, hey, I want to be your boyfriend, or I want to be your girlfriend. I want to be your girlfriend. I don't want labels. I don't want labels. And then when you're finally ready, they say, actually, I don't want the labels. I think you were onto something.
Yeah,
I think you're onto something.
But it comes without commitment, right? Because this is not a tryout. If it were a tryout, we would be talking about it way more.
It's supposed to be an unofficial tryout.
But it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like there's been no talk of expansion in the same way that, like, Portland is approving financing for a 30,000 seat recreational arena that would be a baseball stadium if they get approval, or Nashville City Council's approving funding for an expansion team, or Salt Lake City having an ownership group in line. Those talks just haven't been happening in Sacramento.
Yeah. When we return, we got some texts that we want to get through here, some point guard questions, and we play yay or nay with the different point guard options for the Sacramento Kings. Down south, Sacktown Sports.
To hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work.
Advanced Infusion Center, where we prioritize your comfort and well-being. Whether you're managing a chronic condition or seeking specialized IV therapy, our state-of-the-art center offers tailored solutions to meet your needs. Advanced Infusion Center's dedicated healthcare professionals are here to ensure your safety and provide personalized care. Conveniently located in Sacramento and Yuba City with flexible scheduling options. Experience a new standard in infusion therapy. Visit Advanced Infusion Center today at advancedinfusion.com.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are two new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the biggest selection, the best prices, and unbeatable customer service. Check them out online, sacsuperstore.com, for the guaranteed lowest price on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Open until 10 o'clock and right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. sacsuperstore.com.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
916-339-1140. Call line and text line. Some texts we want to get through. Noah from West Sac. A's here in West Sac are like when you go to the grocery store and your mom gets the generic brand of cereal and you wanted the main brand. Yeah, and their branding, it doesn't really have anything. It's just the Athletics. No Vegas, so you're not in Vegas. Can't say Sacramento. Every broadcaster is doing the thing where they call it Oakland, the Oakland A's. They're doing it on purpose.
I just did it last segment.
Yeah, maybe they're not doing it on purpose, honestly. You had the weird Giant stuff, which I hated a couple weeks ago. So it's just a mess, man. And now I do wonder if it matters, right? And I'll joke. It's bullying works, and I joke when I say that, just about, in certain situations, obviously. I'm not going to tell my kid that. But if they, let's say next season, because they're here for 3, possibly 4 years, if next season they come out and say, hey, you know what? We're doing it. You asked for it. Once a homestand, we whip out our Sacramento jerseys, right? And just going to say Sacktown on them, right? We're still the Athletics. We're not the Sacramento A's. We're not the West Sacramento A's. But we do have a jersey to pay homage to, and we're going to actually sell some Sacramento gear. Would you then say, okay, well, that's just because of the backlash you got, so screw you? Or would you say, finally, this is better late than never. Never late is better. But finally, I'm going to go buy my Sacramento A's, my sack shirt or whatever it is, that special jersey would do crazy numbers out here. So I feel like most fans next year, and I don't think it matters. I think once you get to the last year, if you get to the last year, you just market it and say, hey, well, we want to pay homage our last year. So I don't think a lot of people, I think the A's could still come out on top here in Sacramento, not nationally, but in Sacramento, there's still time for them. This season could end and they say, hey, we realize that we need to lean in more to Sacramento, and it's going to also make us a good bit of money. So here's your Sacramento jersey, and here's some shirts. Now, we've done our job.
Yeah, I think the branding of it all has been confusing because I guess they're essentially saying the Athletic brand is better than Sacramento, which comes off not
well.
great.
We're just not your home. We're not. We don't live here. We're just visiting.
Which, again, putting Sacramento across, in the green and gold with that lettering is like, okay, yes, we are giving you Sacramento our not commitment, but like you get to be part of the Athletic history, right? I don't think the Athletics are ever going to look back fondly upon this era of their history. It's just going to be a blip in the footnotes.
But it was all sold so positively when the deal initially got done. It wasn't that they were trying to hide. It didn't come off like they were trying to hide it, or we don't want people to even remember this time in A's history. When they were sitting up there, it was raining at Sutter Health Park, and Vivek said, we will be second to nobody. That's not the vibe that it was giving off.
Right. The rich man sold you a bill of goods because they sold, Jeff Passan reported 6,500 season tickets.
Yeah.
And they had 3-year commitments.
And those people are losing money, by the way.
Yes, and those people gave those people got, right? Those people got by the A's, and some of them are very unhappy with the ticket prices. Some people are saying, that's unfortunate, but at least I get to go watch baseball, right? To the point even about the merchandise, like for people on the YouTube who are watching, I'm wearing my bootleg Sacramento A's shirt right now, and I've seen like 7 different variations of this out on the street. So like obviously people want it. I think if they did it tomorrow, there'd be a line out the door to get Sacramento branded Athletics stuff. But it's not because it's the Athletics, it's because it's Sacramento.
So Trevor, who I'll work with when I'm doing some River Cat stuff, Trevor is on the text line saying that they do have a small section of Sacramento branded shirts. So I'm trying to get a picture, Kyle, and we're going to try to get a picture and get that posted so people can see it. So I'm working with my boy Trevor right now. I'll be out there at the ballpark for some River Cats tonight as well. I wanted to read some of these texts that were coming through and play a little bit of yay or nay as far as the point guard position. 916 says, is there any way Carter or Keon can be a point guard for this team? I'm going to say nay.
I'm going to say nay.
I'm going to say nay.
Last year, they would have definitely tried it.
You know what? As we're talking baseball, and we're talking A's, but to go to the Giants here, I feel like trying to turn a shooting guard into a point guard seems more realistic than it actually is. It reminds me of what the Giants tried to do with Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks came over and he throws cheddar, at the bullpen. He's been a closer at times. He's been doing some other things as far as the rotation. And the Giants tried to make him a starter, last year and going into this year. And he's just not a starter, right? He's great out of the bullpen, but he's not a starter. He could be a closer maybe for you or a late inning guy, but Jordan Hicks is not a starter. You're either a starter or you're not. You're either a point guard or you're not. So I don't love the idea, and I didn't think Devin Carter was a point guard coming out of Providence. That's just from me watching the highlights. He wasn't handling the basketball. So he was like a souped up GP2 with a little bit of Derek White in him. I didn't see the playmaking. Keon, I don't think so as well. 530 says Carmichael Dave wants Chris Paul. You down? Sure. I mean, it gets you 1 year closer to just being done with all this, I guess.
My point with Chris Paul is if you're going to go the route of a just pure ball handling point guard, you're better off going with him than Tyus Jones, or you're better off going with him than, Trey Jones, one of the Joneses. But Chris Paul doesn't solve all your problems. He's a backup at this point in his career.
I have this picture now just to go back to the Sacramento. So yeah, I have it here. It says Sacramento print. Imagine, a baseball shirt that you would wear from the Sandlot. Kyle wasn't even a thought yet, but the baseball shirts where they're cotton or some type of fabric and the sleeves are blue, but the front of the shirt is white. Real old school baseball shirts.
Yeah.
So this one, the shirt is white, but the sleeves are yellow. So it's a baseball shirt. And it says Sacramento 6 times in it almost looks like 70s print. So it says Sacramento, Sacramento, Sacramento. And then underneath it says A's. So there is some Sacramento branded stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to see that photo from across the room there. I guess that's technically Sacramento A's stuff, but
it says Sacramento and then it says A's.
But the A's is in really small font below it, so it looks like it's a trademark. It's not like Sacramento A's. It's a Sacramento shirt with an A's trademark. It's not like the A's logo is displayed prominently.
So I would assume each year there's going to be more and more, right? And I don't know that they'll ever do the jersey. I just think they should do the jersey. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and baseball does City Connects every 3 or 4 years.
It's such an easy layup.
Easy layup for making money, but I get my...
Well, I think Sacramento would appreciate it. I think you'd actually get 10,000 people in there, and you wouldn't have to make up that number.
I don't know if it would... Well, they do make up that number every day.
Everybody makes up the number.
Yeah, I guess the part that's tough, though, is it's kind of... Even the idea of saying a Sacramento... say it's in green, right? Say it's Kelly Green Sacramento jersey. Even doing that and having it be as popular as it is proves the point, right? People are not coming for the Athletics. They're coming for baseball in Sacramento.
That's right. But that's okay.
I guess if you're saying all money is good money, which I don't think the Athletics are.
But why would, if you're a fan... Yeah, it's just the A's are a vessel, right? Both sides are vessels. Sacramento is a vessel to allow the A's to play somewhere while their ballpark gets built.
Or even more specifically, Vivex Baseball Stadium.
Yes.
Even if you don't want to say Sacramento.
Right. And the A's are a vessel for Sacramento to prove in a real tryout or fake tryout, whatever this is, that they can put people in a ballpark. It's a minor league ballpark, but that they can put people in a ballpark. So it's a natural business deal, right? Or understanding. That's fine. I just think that the A's could be getting more out of it with 1 or 2 simple little changes.
Yeah, but that's where my only understanding would just be the branding. I guess the A's believe that their brand is stronger than selling 10,000 Sacramento A's jerseys.
And they're incorrect.
I would agree, but the A's turn down money all the time.
Yeah.
They're living off revenue sharing right now from Major League Baseball. So I don't know exactly where they get off saying that they're going to be a brand of the Athletics regardless of city.
Yeah.
That A on the hat and the Athletics on the jersey and the Kelly Greens is a stronger brand than Sacramento, the place that you're playing.
They're trying to follow the Raiders model. That's what it is. The Raiders said, and the Raiders are a different situation because the Raiders, they were in LA, then they were in Oakland, and then they were in LA, and then they were in Oakland, and now they're in Vegas. The Raiders brand is that strong. This is the NFL compared to Major League Baseball. There's only a couple brands in baseball that I would even say are strong enough to pull it off. And I would say the Yankees, the Dodgers, those are tier ones. And my tier twos would be the Mets. And you could argue tier ones. We're not going to get into it, but the Mets, the Cubs, the Phillies. That's off the top of my head there.
Probably Red Sox.
And Red Sox, excuse me. Yes, do throw the Red Sox in there too. They could sustain it. That's 7 teams, right? The rest of them are, I guess, the Giants, but, and I'm not saying that objectively, but the A's, especially after what just happened these last couple years.
Really the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's fine for them to believe that, but nobody else feels like that. I don't think.
Well, I mean, they have no fans. I mean, they have some fans. I shouldn't say
fans. They got fans.
They've got some fans, but they have very little fan base comparatively speaking to other baseball teams because in baseball there is such a regional importance.
This is
to
what we're going to
baseball.
do. We're going to get a live show going for one of the games. Might be YouTube exclusive. And we're just going to be one of those kids in these TikTok videos. We're just going to be interviewing the fans there. Anybody in I want to see how many people we can find that bought A stuff and are attending A's fans. What's the over-under? If we talk to 20 people, how many people are going to 20 A's fans? We won't obviously interview any other fans. 20 people in A's gear. How many will be, bleep Oakland? How many will be, or I feel bad for Oakland, but I want to watch my team? And how many will be, I never followed the A's until they came out here. Now I'm an A's fan. What's that out of 20 people? Can we find 3?
I think we might be hard pressed to find 2 that are like, I think the better question to ask is how long have you been an A's fan?
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a number of people who are like, either my insert parental figure was an A's fan and now I'm an A's fan, right, or some version of I've been an A's fan since the 2000s, or I've been an A's fan since the 90s. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people who are like, I've been an A's fan since 2014. I don't think you're going to see a ton of those unless it's like my father or mother was an A's fan, and so therefore I'm an A's fan.
On a quest. We are on a quest. As we hit the 1 o'clock hour, all NBA teams were announced on Friday. And Kings didn't get anybody on it, and they didn't get particularly close. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, we know it's still fairly early, but in a poll conducted by MLB.com, A's shortstop Jacob Wilson was the runaway leader for American League Rookie of the Year. And why not? He leads AL rookies in virtually every important offensive category. The last A's Rookie of the Year, Andrew Bailey, back in 2009. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
The Memorial Day race to savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day race to savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our number one priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. SubcontractorsUnited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
All NBA teams were announced on Friday, and Domantas Sabonis wasn't as close as we thought. We have the teams and we have the other players receiving votes, and it just kind of speaks to, again, did you get leapfrog there, Sabonis? Right, the all-defensive teams. We love Keegan Murray, but there's young dudes actually getting on all-defense teams in their second, third year of the league. Might have Chris Watkins possibly stop by. We'll keep an eye on that. So we might get Chris' thoughts on, obviously, the Kings and also the Athletics, as Chris being the proud Sacramentan that he is. Speaking of, Coach Savage wants to be a part of the show and give his thoughts on the Athletics, as we've been having some good conversation about them. What's up, Coach Savage? What you got for us? Happy Tuesday.
That's right. It feels like Monday. But anyway, I'm 65, and I've been going to the A's game since 1968. So, of course, I'm a big A's fan. But I would like to mention right off the bat that, you know, I'm a millionaire, but yet I spend my money smartly. And I refuse to go to an A's game and pay $80 for a seat in the grass and $440 for a seat behind home plate. It's outrageous. And so, you know, the prices are keeping regular fans away from the game that refuse to get ripped off.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Coach Savage, I got to ask you, okay? Can you give us a high level, people out here trying to make money. It's a tough economy. Can you give us a high level view of how you became a millionaire?
Well, you know, I've worked hard my whole life since I was 15. And then when I was 30, I got into real estate, and I've always been a savvy investor. I got with a partner and started buying rental houses and ended up with over 30 houses, and they're all paid for. So that's It's called work the hard way. Every time I tried to stock market, I lost a lot of money, and it was story of my life. If you work hard, you get ahead, and if you don't, you won't.
Coach Savage, thanks so much for the call. Okay, so I might need Coach Savage's information. You know, I'm working on getting some different properties as well. Coach Savage dropping some knowledge on us. A millionaire that refuses to spend his money on the A's. And I do wonder if a person like Coach Savage will go when they drop the prices, because it's not that he's an A's fan. Clearly, he said he's been going to games since the 60s, but he's not going to go to something that he feels is overpriced. And I haven't ever sat on the grass when I'm doing River Cats. Obviously, I'm working, and the times that I've been at Sutter Health as a fan, I've never sat on the grass. I don't know what type of experience it is.
It's kind of cool. I did it for the Yankees game.
I guess the question is it cool for $80?
So I think Coach Savage brings up a great point about all of this that I think gets lost at times, is that so much of this is a moral decision, right? And in this capitalist world we live in, it's hard to make morally correct decisions when you have certain necessities like iPhones that also are morally problematic, right? So you kind of just try the best you can with a lot of this stuff. But with the Athletics, it is such a, in my purview, morally unjust situation for them to break essentially the cardinal rule of sports, which is that these teams are community pillars. And when you take them out of communities, like the Kings almost did with Seattle, like happened with the Raiders and the Athletics and the Chargers and the Rams in St. Louis, these are essentially breaks of the public trust. Mm-hmm. And there's morals in all of this stuff. And because this situation is so complicated, everyone's going to have their morals in different places, right? Coach Savage doesn't want to pay for tickets, even though he's financially well off and in a position to spend the $440 on tickets behind home plate. But morally, it's not. He's the type of person the A's wanted to be coming to games, and morally, he's not in a position to do that. I kind of feel the same way. I'm privileged enough to be able to go with media credentials to many of these games where I don't have to give the A's money other than my time and covering it for the station. But on the flip side, I also bought tickets for the Padres series because that's the one I wanted to go to. So everyone's going to put their morals in different places with this stuff, and that's okay because it is so complicated to navigate.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, the tickets have been fluctuating all season long. I know that because that's what I've said, they've definitely have been cheaper in spots. It depends on the day. It depends on who the A's are facing. But I think that was kind of the initial feeling, especially when on top of all that, to bring it back to the baseball of it, you're losing 11 games straight. And, you know, you have to be somewhat successful. And as the team has not been successful, I think those prices have started to fluctuate. And then it becomes a revenue thing, right? What I've been continuing to say is I don't really care about the attendance, because if you've dropped your prices, right, and obviously the Yankee game's going to be expensive, Giants will be expensive, but if you drop your prices, of course your attendance is going to go up. Okay, when you look at the revenue and you compare that revenue based on basically pound for pound, the ratio of how much tickets cost to the attendance, if that is not as green as it should be, then it doesn't matter whether the A's are, you know, hey, it's 10,000, whatever it is, it could be sold out. But if it's selling out because the tickets are now $15, and it's the most intimate setting in Major League Baseball, I don't really know if you've proven anything.
I don't know if there's anything that Sacramento needs to prove, though, with this. And that's kind of the point you've been making about the Oakland versus Sacramento thing. This doesn't have to be Sacramento fighting to have what was once Oakland's, or the two sides having to fight each other. Mm-hmm. Both have kind of been put in this awkward position. I would just look at it from this, because like when you're at the game, you can see like there's rows of seats that are empty, like entire rows.
Yes.
And that is because that's where the price point changes, right? At $20, people are sitting in the seats immediately in front of tickets that are $40, right? And the A's, for whatever their calculations are, have decided financially that we'd rather have that seat be empty at another price point.
Than dropping those prices.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever calculation they've made, they've obviously decided that's the way they want to go.
Right. Or if they're resellers, they're just waiting, and same idea. I'd rather just eat it, or they wait too long and then they say, dang, okay, we thought somebody would bite and they didn't.
Yeah. And that's the weird thing about all of this is the ticket prices are dropping because at a certain point they need to have somebody, like they would rather have 10,000 people at $20 than 4,000 people at $50.
Yeah.
But that doesn't reflect well upon them or the situation that anyone is in, that they are unable to sell out any non-Yankees or opening day game in the most intimate environment in baseball, as they're calling it.
Yeah, and when they get back, that will be at the beginning of June. When they get back from their road trip, they go from Houston to Toronto. When they get back, these teams don't have huge brands, so I don't know what to expect when they get back. No disrespect to the Minnesota Twins. They got a 3-game set against the Minnesota Twins, and then after that, they have a 3-game set against the Baltimore Orioles. So an opportunity for A's fans to kind of show up and show out, because those aren't the biggest brands in the world, and also the Orioles specifically have not been playing well. They kind of fell off a cliff. But the Twins, they're your classic, let's get to the playoffs and not really do much of anything. We got another call here, wants to keep the conversation going. Alex out in Folsom, beautiful this time of year. What's up, Alex? What you got for us? Happy Tuesday.
Hey, Alan, just on the A's, I've been an Oakland A's fan since probably I was born in 97. So with that, it's kind of just been with the vagabond A's here in Sacramento. For me as a diehard fan, it's kind of been the more Sacramentan you are more than the A's fan, the bigger the turnoff. Now they're going to kind of overlap. So inevitably, it'll be welcome for you to be a Sacramentan and an A's fan, but more if you're a Sacramento first right now. I know the sense for A's fans kind of on a bigger sense is that's the bigger turnoff, but it will overlap. And I think things will kind of mend. But it has been quite the experience, especially in the baseball sense. The success is a necessity for any success in the ballpark and the location to kind of be one to remember. As for now, it's kind of been, if the baseball isn't there, the winning isn't there, the ballpark isn't there, then it's kind of an off-putting for those that are big supporters of the A's.
Alex, do you feel like yourself and maybe some of your friends that either care or don't care about baseball, do you think that one Sacramento jersey would make as big of a difference as I'm saying that it would if they just had one?
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah. If there's any Sacramento, because you are kind of attesting it to the Sacramento fans, like not the A's fans, right? That's what you're saying, Sacramento baseball fans. And it's an easy as a layup, as you were saying. I mean, even I wouldn't maybe. I'm ready to invest in this team as soon as there's no Vegas patch on their on the other shoulder,
right?
Because that's even I think Sacramento fans would also echo that sentiment, because it's the biggest slap in the face to both Oakland and Sacramento. Hey, this is where we're going, even though it's a different patch for a different reason. It's actually supposed to be like the sponsor for like traveling to Vegas, not actually we're going to Vegas, but it still is it's still right in your face, and it's a big turnoff for Oakland and Sacramento fans alike.
Yeah. Great stuff, Alex. Thanks for the call. Just one jersey. That's it. And again, I even think that other people feel the disrespect for Sacramento. Like if they had I think there would still be jokes made, but let's say the broadcasters, right? If they're digging into it, the A's, and they whip out their City Connect Sacramento jersey, those broadcasters, I think, would have a little cause to pause before they purposely say Oakland or whatever joke, just because at least the A's would be standing for something. Right now, they're not standing for something. They just have a bunch of Vegas promos all over the fence and behind the backstop.
Right. It essentially would, like Alex said, I think he made a really great point, extend the olive branch to Sacramento baseball fans or
Yes.
Sacramento sports fans or the people who go to Kings games that are not like in the weeds on RJ Barrett trade talks like we are and many people listening. I think it would extend that olive branch to those people to say, hey, we want you to be a part of this. We want you to be in our community, even if it's only temporarily. And I think then you would get not a lot of people, but you'd get some people who would be willing to wear the jersey and learn about Lawrence Butler and learn about Nick Kurtz and learn about all of the things that are going on with the Athletics. Right now, it's just kind of, they're just kind of existing.
Yeah, they're here. They're just floating right now, just like a lot of people in life. All NBA teams were announced. Let's see who got snubbed and who got in when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
I'm Sia, and I support Humane World for Animals, formerly called the Humane Society of the United States. Together, we have created a new version of Peter Gabriel's beautiful song, Salisbury Hill, to celebrate Humane World for Animals and everything they do. Enjoy the song and join us in helping Humane World for Animals end animal cruelty.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Ion Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And over the years, I've loved sharing military stories with my neighbor Greg, a battle-tested former Army Ranger. He's a barbecue master and always welcomes us over. As it's Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants all active duty, veterans, and family to know that they're always eligible to join. Because at Navy Federal, our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
All NBA teams were announced on Friday, and somebody that has been snubbed, wasn't even close enough to, I guess, consider being snubbed this go around. First team, Nikola Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell. Second team, Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, LeBron, Anthony Edwards, Evan Mobley. Third team, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, who a lot of people in Sacramento don't want James Harden. I don't think I forgot that. James Harden, Jalen Williams, and Karl Anthony Towns. Others receiving votes: Şengün with 58, Jaren Jackson Jr. with 55, Zubac with 16, Garland with 6, Sabonis with 4, Siakam with 4, Bam with 3, Trae Young with 3, and Booker with 2. I'm not really surprised about Domantas Sabonis. Maybe you'd like to see a couple more votes there, but Jaren Jack, these guys were all stars, and I guess it just really speaks to what happened as far as the season is concerned with the rest of the guys in front of Domantas Sabonis. You got Şengün with 58 votes. They were the 2 seed. Jaren Jackson Jr. with 55. Yeah, they struggled, but they ended up getting into the playoffs as the 8 seed. Zubac was on a red hot, 4 or 5 seed in the Clippers. Garland on the best team in the league. So then after that, you get Sabonis, Siakam, and Siakam has been balling out in the playoffs. And you get Bam, just all guys, besides Siakam, all guys on play-in teams, right? Besides Booker, who they weren't. But you get Siakam out of there and Sabonis playing team, Bam playing team, Trae playing team, Booker didn't even make the play. And so that's really what it is. It's funny seeing this list now, and people are going to say I'm being a hater again, but it is funny seeing this list, thinking how much time we spent about whether or not De'Aaron Fox was going to be would he get that super max if he was on this list? Because this is no Luka, no Embiid,
no Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant is not even listed on here.
Yeah, because they didn't get the game minimum.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't know that. Did De'Aaron De'Aaron definitely got to the minimum. He definitely got to the minimum, right?
I don't think so. Let's look it up.
Was it 65?
Yeah, it's 65 to get there. I don't know that he got the. Wow, he's okay. I got to look a little deeper.
The minutes played and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
62 for De'Aaron Fox. He did not get there. Some other names that didn't qualify, just doing a quick glance here, who probably would have been on the list. You have Anthony Davis. He didn't get there. Wemby didn't get there. Jimmy Butler obviously didn't get there. There's a couple more, but not Damian Lillard, obviously. There's a few guys, but for the most part, you got 15 of your top 20 players in the league in there.
Yeah, and I'm looking here just as far as the teams that are either still playing now or got to the playoffs. I mean, you get Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. They're both in there, second team and third team. You get SGA and Jalen Williams, of course. You get, is Tatum the only Celtic on there?
Yeah, Tatum's the only Celtic. And then Ant's the only Timberwolf. Tyrese, obviously, with the Pacers. Giannis is the only Buck, too.
Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, best team in the league, or one of the second best team when it comes to the records. So you get Donovan and you get Evan. So, there is definitely a reason for how all of this looks and why certain teams are playing, why certain teams aren't playing. Steph Curry, second teamer, nobody else in the same stratosphere. Steph Curry got hurt. Yeah, they're done. Cade Cunningham, the only person. Yeah, you're a first round team, right? You're on the third.
Still won 17 games last year.
Yeah, you're there. James Harden, same idea. Yeah, maybe you guys will make some noise. Maybe you won't.
You know what's funny? I'm looking at this now. All the centers kind of cannibalized each other in a weird way. Like, I was shocked Karl didn't make the second team.
Yeah.
But Şengün and Jaren Jackson and Zubac all took votes away from Karl. And so Karl ended up on the third team while all of those guys didn't make it. It's kind of funny how that worked out, because among the guards, there was a pretty good consensus. The only guard I see that got more than Sabonis in terms of votes is Darius Garland.
LeBron, the only Laker. Tyrese Halliburton, the only Pacer. And, same situation as Cade Cunningham, but he's a little bit further along. And honestly, yeah, they got a little bit of help along the way, not facing, if they had faced the Knicks in the first round, maybe they find themselves in this same situation. But the Pistons, they're going through what the Pacers went through last season. And, the Pacers went to the Eastern Conference Finals, but same idea, kind of their first run at it. So you look at this and, you see Sabonis right there with 4 votes, and you're just thinking about the future and what's to come. And Luka's back in the fold. Wemby's back in the fold. A lot of these guys are back in the fold, and it's just not enough talent to go around on that Kings team right now. That's just the bottom line.
Based on these votes and the players who didn't qualify, you can now make the case that Sabonis, who was All-NBA third team each of the last 2 seasons, might have the reputation as the 8th best center in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Şengün got more votes, Jaren Jackson got more votes, Zubac got more votes, Anthony Davis and Wemby both didn't qualify, but I would have imagined both would have had a better shot at All-NBA than Sabonis. I think Wemby would have been there, no question, if he had played enough games.
When we return, a little bit of sleeper conversation, and we'll have some fun with the flag football drama. I have a very easy way to end the flag football drama. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Bring the whole family to Sutter Health Park for Sacramento River Cats baseball. It's more than a game. It's an experience your kids will never forget. Enjoy exciting action on the field, delicious ballpark food, and fun activities for all ages. From meeting Dinger the mascot to running the bases every Sunday, there's something for everyone. Create lasting memories with your family this season. Get your tickets at rivercats.com.
Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
Memorial Day savings explode at Matus Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock. And Matus Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections of new Silverado in the Sacramento area. $12,500 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Matus Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big. Huge. See them all at MatusChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Let's turn 2011 or newer. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, you know summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this? Half off tune-up right now. It's a special going on, just $24.50 to get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
At Valley Strong Credit Union, we know that local businesses are the backbone of the Central Valley, investing in our neighborhoods, boosting the economy, making the Valley stronger. But when it comes to their finances, where can they turn? A big bank that just sees another number? That's not good enough. Valley businesses deserve Valley support for payroll, credit, cash flow, and everything in between. Valley Business is Valley Strong. Learn how our cash management services can support your business at valleystrong.com.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are two new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
I told you Chris Watkins might stop by, and he is here. Kyle, I have a job for you. I don't think there's got to be a clean version, or I honestly don't know that there's any cursing in it, but we were watching a Machine Gun Kelly video, and Chris does not know about this new Machine Gun Kelly song where he's straight up boy band dancing. It's very ridiculous. And I need you to, I can help you find the video.
I'm not sure if I know.
We will play, we have to play the song. It is yet another case of thank you, rap music, but goodbye now. And this is the latest one. Obviously,
a Post Malone situation?
It's worse.
Okay.
It's worse.
Or better, I guess.
Just dropped this weekend?
They're
called Cliche?
I believe so.
I don't think anyone's going to be missing MGK from that community.
Well, you know, him and Eminem had that.
They did.
spat.
Yeah, that was fun.
So
that was cool. Yeah.
We're going to get that music for
He's
you.
still dating someone famous?
I think he's with Megan Fox.
Megan Fox, yeah.
Yeah, so Kyle's going to get that for you. Chris.
That's crazy.
Got Kings, got some NFL sleepers we want to talk about. But real quick.
Whatever you want to talk about. I am intruding on you.
We spent a good bit of time talking A's here.
Yeah.
And you and Kyle have
we
on
do.
not the same shirt, but it's got the
Same
sack
spirit.
with the A. of the A's in the middle. If you had known, as a Sacramentan, and we've taken some calls on this, if you had known how the A's were going to go about it, Vegas in the outfield, no jersey, which you knew
Signage
at the
too,
time,
yeah.
right? Do you think you still would have purchased the A's gear, right? Because I feel like a lot of people thought that they were going to feel a type of way about the A's, and then when they realized, oh, the A's aren't really claiming us at all, kind of turned them off.
I will say, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I just think that for me, it's more disappointing because it's like not – the A's didn't do a good job. Like the Sacramento jersey, obviously people know, or, it's been speculated, like, are they going to stay or are they going to leave?
Right.
It's just that they didn't really ingratiate themselves into Sacramento culture, say. It's like the Sacramento jersey could have been, I think I heard a caller, Alex, earlier, like mentioned, like, it could have just been a Sacramento baseball thing. Like it could have lived on beyond the A's stay here. And that's kind of how you actually build a fan base, especially if the plan is to move out of Las Vegas or to Las Vegas, like that's how you retain that fan base.
Right.
You have the Sacramento jersey, even if it's something small like that. I think it's better than what the alternative is going to be. So to me, that's more what it is this shirt symbolizes for me. And I guess we'll continue is just like, this is how I had to get my Sacramento gear that I was hoping to get from the A's. And like you said perfectly, like it's just laid up right in front of it for the A's to not capitalize on it kind of doesn't make sense because regardless of how you emotionally feel about the A's situation, if the A's had cool gear, like, I'm sorry, I would have bought it. And it would have been as simple as that. And it's their fault for not capitalizing on it because somebody else made this shirt for me. And I think it's great. And I would have bought it from the A's team store, but instead I bought it from Etsy. So, I just gotta, that's kind of where my disappointment, I would say, lies with the A's. And, if they don't want, I think Whitey's been saying it, like if they don't want us to support them, like if they're not going to put effort to make us want to support them, then I think ultimately that's going to be reciprocated. And I think that's what's going on. And if this is going to be a 3-year relationship, the beauty of it is they didn't do a great job of marketing themselves year one. They could try to do better in the future, but I think they kind of already have spoiled the novelty of it all.
Because you saw the clip that was going around with the kids not touching home plate.
Yes,
that's kind of got.
That's funny that's something that small ends up becoming as big of a deal as it is.
Because everybody is, kind of looking for something, and
for sure.
Now
good joke too.
It was
really good punchline.
Yes, and now you look at who the A's have been and where Sacramento thought that they were going to fall here. It's just not quite, I think, what any of us expected. And the losing doesn't help.
Yeah,
but
11-game losing streak.
Which just got snapped. But
in them, just in general, sucking at home too. Like I think I saw they're 9-19 at home. Like not giving. I still haven't, and I've definitely myself haven't gone to as many A's games as I was going to the first couple weeks because the story has kind of also fallen off. But I've only seen Mason. I haven't actually seen Mason Miller pitch still. And that's because I haven't gone to the past couple weeks of games, but like the fact they only have 9 wins at home, like that's not going to help either. I know a lot of people still aren't going there to really invest in the game that's actually happening, but for the very few that are, like even that's not really turning you on, and you're already climbing an uphill battle, I assume, being an A's fan and going to the games. They're just not really giving you any reason to want to go out. And, you're just seeing, like you've talked about, you've seen a lot of Phillies fans out there. The thing that amazed me, my girlfriend went to the games during the week, the Angels. There was tons of Angels fans out there.
That's crazy.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like if the Angels and the White Sox are going to come here and fill the stadium more than the A's during those games, like, wouldn't it have almost been better if those games had low attendance instead of it looking as much of an Angels game or as a White Sox game as it looked? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's been a rough look.
Yeah. And, a lot of people, Sacramento is a centralized place where there's people up north, and you can drive from Nevada, you can drive from down south, and you could drive from the Bay. So a lot of people just looking for kind of an excuse to kind of, build on to a vacation or whatever the case may be. And yeah, it's really interesting stuff, man. And I want to switch gears right now and head on over to All NBA, where you have the first team, second team, third team. We had some conversations about Sabonis getting leapfrogged this season, to see him with 4 votes and to see guys like Ivica Zubac, Jaren Jackson Jr., all 3 of them, really, all 3 centers, and Jaren Jackson will go back and forth, but Şengün at 58 votes, Jaren Jackson Jr. at 55 votes, Zubac with 16. Then you have Garland, guard, with 6, and Sabonis tied with Siakam with 4. Does that, not that it surprises you or not, or, maybe we thought that he'd get a couple more votes, but what does that say when you're trying to convince a fan base in the Kings, yeah, we should definitely not be blowing it up right now, when you're looking and you're thinking, what is it that we're bringing to the table here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it speaks to how tough the league is. Obviously, a lot of it is based off success. Like, that's the main reason why Sabonis isn't sniffing any of these teams, is because the Kings were they finished 9th or 10th in ninth in the play-in spot. And so a lot of these, like you guys were talking about earlier, like a lot of these playoff teams only got 1 player into their into the All NBA. It's a really, really tough list to get into. And, I was honestly surprised, not to shamelessly plug our Instagram feed, but we put up a poll today, like, how do you feel about the Kings rebuilding versus retooling? And I've been very surprised by I think right now, I checked before I came in, it was like 70-30 for people wanting to rebuild. And that surprised me, that I thought a lot more people felt good about, Sabonis and Levine. And it just feels like a lot of people throughout that 20 games weren't buying what they were trying to be sold. And I was just really surprised to see how the percentage of people that felt that way. I really felt like a lot of more people were on the side of trying to get something more out of this Sabonis thing. But I think a lot of people are willing to move on and see what we can get for DeRozan and Sabonis. I think a lot of people feel like Levine is just too tough to move.
I love my comparisons, even if they aren't perfect.
Sure.
And I do wonder
apples to pears.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do wonder if this season for Domantas Sabonis kind of resembled, and I know he just got paid, but kind of resembled Brock Purdy, in that he's good, right? He's a top whatever player you want to put him, but
PFF number 11.
That's right. But the Cam Newton kind of game changer thing to bring that all the way back,
circle.
Right? Maybe this is the point where fans are learning that Sabonis isn't really a game changer. I keep plugging Chris Biederman, who was great on the show last week. He said he is not a singular talent, is how he said it about Domantas Sabonis. I think most people before wanted to defend Domantas Sabonis, but really didn't know how to say, yeah, he's a guy, but he doesn't do X, Y, and Z. And I think maybe now a lot more people are getting to the point where, hey, he is really good, but as far as quote unquote building around him, it's not that you couldn't have done it, right? If you had made the decisions with De'Aaron and Domantas Sabonis, but you didn't. And now it's time to move on.
Yeah. I mean, that's why for me, he really does symbolize like what Scott Perry is trying to do long-term. Like, if you bring him back, to me, Sabonis is a floor raiser, not necessarily a ceiling. He's more of a floor raiser than a ceiling raiser, I guess, is what he is. And so if Scott Perry and this front office decide to bring him back, that tells me they want or expect a certain level of success, because Domantas Sabonis, like you perfectly laid out, like, he's a good enough player to sniff an all-NBA team. And if you're successful enough, he'll make an all-NBA team.
Right.
But he'll get you to maybe 35 wins, 36 wins. But if you're expecting to compete more than that, it's just foolish. And I think the problem is, we've seen it, we've lived it here in Sacramento. You finish in like the 7th worst spot in the NBA, and your lottery, granted the lottery's a lot different now than it was then, but the worst draft picks it feels like you can have is year after year being that 6 through 10 spot. And so that's more to say, if you're going to go into next season and you ultimately say, look, I don't know if this Domantas Sabonis timeline is going to be our timeline.
Yeah.
I just think that it's best to, for as quickly as you can, be bad, and hopefully that results in a quick turnaround. I think that we've seen a lot of these teams in the NBA. Like, who would have expected Cade Cunningham to turn Detroit around that quickly? Like, I think if you nail one of these top picks, Paolo Banchero with the Magic, like that's the same draft as Keegan. If you nail these picks, you can turn it around fairly quickly. You just got to get the opportunity. And the Kings throughout that time, again, we can talk about the Marvin Bagley situation, but like they never capitalized or got an opportunity to get that top pick. And I think that ultimately hamstrung them to have a 15 or however it ended up being year drought.
Yeah.
I think the best move for them would be, if they are going to go in the direction of, we want to build around Keegan's timeline, or maybe Malik. And again, I don't really think of Malik in the same category as Sabonis, DeRozan, and Levine. I just feel like, to me, that is Sabonis just symbolizes to me what direction they want to go.
Yeah, and if you expand this thing out, just keeping it in the Western Conference, even to the second round, everybody is represented on here, right?
Yeah.
You have obviously Jokic. They didn't make it past the second round. You have Steph. They didn't make it past the second round, and you could if you expand it again, you get James Harden with the Clippers, you get LeBron with the Lakers. It's just all of these teams have a guy, and that is what kind of propels you. That's why I wonder, if I'm looking here and you see a Sabonis, this is kind of where the Kings have been. What's more important, to have somebody on this list, maybe first or second? I wouldn't really say third, but first or second. Or you could say, well, Allen, look, you add a Trae Young, that's 2 guys, 2 all NBA talents that they might not get it every year, but seeing this and seeing, hey, Trae Young, all NBA guy, are you moved more from a Zach LaVine, Sabonis, Trae Young combo than you were previously? I guess.
I mean, I think it's I could be sold on it more so because we haven't seen it. I can't definitely say it wouldn't work. It would be interesting, but I think ultimately, and when I say interesting, I mean maybe more entertaining offensively to see Trae Young and Zach LaVine and Sabonis. But ultimately, I just think the problem is still going to be defense.
Well, yeah.
Trae Young and Sabonis are 2 of the worst defenders at their positions.
Dave said go get Chris Paul. You can't play Chris Paul and Malik Monk.
I wouldn't want to play Chris Paul 82 games, more than like 20 minutes. That's not at this stage in his career. I mean, Chris Paul to me is he should probably be on a good team and be their backup point guard. I don't think Chris Paul is starting.
No, yeah. Well, I guess neither is.
I mean, he would
Malik
start
Monk.
for a bad team, but
yeah.
I don't think to me, he's. I mean, what is he? 39 years. He's going to be 39 years old, 38 years old. I would just be surprised if you expect him to play for 82 games.
Chris Watkins, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yeah.
Whitey Gleason.
Are you gonna talk with Whitey?
Yeah, you want to stay?
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, why not?
Whitey's going to pop in here, and we're going to close out the show the best way possible. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, we know it's still fairly early, but in a poll conducted by MLB.com, A's shortstop Jacob Wilson was the runaway leader for American League Rookie of the Year. And why not? He leads AL rookies in virtually every important offensive category. The last A's Rookie of the Year, Andrew Bailey, back in 2009. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khtk.com.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. SubcontractorsUnited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles.
on Sacktown Sports.
This is that new Machine Gun Kelly, people. It's time.
Wow.
This is fine. What are you laughing?
There comes a time in every artist's life.
How old is he?
He's 30.
And the crazy part is, it's going to blow up.
For sure.
It's going to.
It's a good song.
No, it's
so
Kyle's already
it's
smitten.
fine. It doesn't. It's not that it sounds bad. It's just funny.
He did the thing.
Yeah, he hard pivoted.
But he's done the
Like
thing.
this is a good lane for him
Yeah.
for sure. Like the modern day Aftershock,
Yeah.
type, Good Charlotte,
He could
like
be
that vibe,
Aftershock.
100%.
This is it. Whitey loves it.
Yeah, he's
I'm
bopping
digging
around.
it. Yeah.
it's fresh.
It's not about, look, Post Malone, it's not about the songs.
You
It's
know,
about the process.
Have you heard artists? More so, I heard Taylor Swift do it multiple times, and it really got to me.
Oh, no.
They refer to him as Austin, not Post Malone. They just call him Austin.
His real name.
Like everyone just calls him Austin.
Oh,
Those
okay.
in the know.
Okay.
Really upset me. I thought it would have upset you.
No, well, that he's Austin now with a bush light in his hand.
Can't
Give
do
it
Post
about
Malone.
3 years. Machine Gun Kelly will definitely be doing country music.
Yeah, we're
100%.
seeing it happen now.
100%.
Yeah,
You know?
you go rapper, white rapper to pop star
Yeah.
to country music pipeline.
Well, or you can go straight to country. You can go straight to country and then go
Yeah,
to
that's
pop.
true.
The world's your oyster, really.
And once you go country, you're going back to pop.
Yeah. So, Chris, I had to play that for you. And you got to watch the video because he's dancing. He's dancing.
Oh yeah, there's like a car, and he's at a car wash.
You have to
Kind of
watch
crazy.
You have to watch it, Chris.
I
Whitey
don't
Gleason
want it.
joins
Hello.
us, and this is what I wanted to ask.
Good to see
Chris.
Mr. Watkins here.
That's right. I wanted to ask both of you this as we close out the show. DeMar DeRozan, randomly, we've heard more about DeMar DeRozan than Zion Williamson, right? I know it's still early on, but are you surprised at all at how much smoke we've seen about DeMar DeRozan? I know some of it might be speculation, but
Some of it might be.
well, I think a lot of people thought that we'd be stuck with, quote unquote, or air quotes, stuck with DeMar DeRozan, and I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I'm really on this train that Chris Biederman kind of started as the, hey, the prize if you don't get KD is a DeMar DeRozan bucket getter. And a lot of people might be in line for that prize.
It seems to me that it's interesting. All of the whatever they are, they're not even rumors. They all have one thing in common. It involves DeMar DeRozan going somewhere. No matter what the team or who the player's coming back.
Yeah.
It's like DeMar DeRozan for, Jrue Holiday.
Right.
RJ Barrett. Whoever.
Yeah.
Michael Porter Jr. Thanks, Paul Pierce.
Well, and Bovada didn't even list, and we were kind of just going back and forth with the semantics, but they didn't even list the Sacramento Kings. So, and maybe it's because he's currently on the Kings, but a lot of times, they'll at least include the current team, and they didn't have that. So I didn't know if I was reaching or not. Chris, are you a bit surprised at all of the DeMar DeRozan chatter? It's good for the Kings, I think. But
I would say it's good for the Kings. I'm not surprised because it just makes a lot of sense. I mean, he is a high profile player. So whether we don't know what side this is coming from either, whether it's the Kings side or it could be DeMar DeRozan, who is, I'm sure has a lot of tentacles, or his agent has a lot of tentacles. He can get things out there. I wouldn't say I'm surprised because it's going to make so much sense. I think what Biederman lays out definitely is what's probably going to happen. I think Miami is definitely the team that I'm looking for him to go to. He feels like somebody who's a big city kind of guy, especially at this point in his career. I don't really think he's going to go the Vince Carter route and try and assimilate to teams and go to the Memphis Grizzlies, Atlanta Hawks, Sacramento Kings. To me, DeMar feels like LA return, or actually going home to LA is an option. I heard you guys talk about Toronto earlier. That feels like a good option for him. And Miami is a new place where they're looking for a star. Also, the Jrue Holiday part of this is interesting because I do think that him being a Tatum replacement for a year is interesting for Boston.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a better swing than if they are going to move on from Jrue Holiday and not have Jason Tatum next year. There's worse things you can do if you want to continue to compete. Or the Boston Celtics have been known as a franchise to maybe say, hey, let's maybe recognize that we could be bad. Again, what I talked about earlier, be bad for a year and hopefully get one of these other guys like the Warriors tried to do. This is your only opportunity to maybe extend your title run. And, I think funny enough, the last time the Celtics had an opportunity like this, unfortunately, was Len Bias, and that, unfortunately didn't go their way. But this is an opportunity to maybe do what didn't happen then.
Yeah, and DeMar, to me, and it's funny you say where is this stuff being leaked out, because I do feel like, we're talking about stuff and we're going to have Brett Siegel on the show tomorrow, but you don't really know where any of it is coming from. And Whitey, do you think that this could maybe shift Kings fans' thought process as to how they should be looking at this season and what you should acquire? A name that got brought up because of the Miami Heat. I think that Andrew Wiggins could be a souped up Harrison Barnes, which is a scary statement to say out loud.
Yeah.
But I mean,
who doesn't defend as well?
Who doesn't defend as well?
Is that like a Honda Camry that's on 30-inch wheels or something?
Andrew Wiggins better defender than Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes.
A Harrison Barnes, a souped up Harrison Barnes.
It's like Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
Got some spinners on it.
There it is, Alan. If you're a Kings fan, with all this, whatever it is, I don't even know if it's leaks. It just may be people going, I don't know. I'm not sure what it is.
I'm about to
do you want to go down the Wiggins path, maybe Jrue Holiday, or does that give you something to get excited about? Or is that too much in line with the whole idea of just run it back, and the Kings fans need a new hope, something
but they're
young
not going to get that.
About.
They're not going to get that, though. They're not getting that. They're not blowing it up.
No, but you don't have to blow it up
so
to get younger.
RJ Barrett.
What's the question?
RJ Barrett.
Question mark at the end.
DeRozan.
RJ Barrett is what, a souped up Andrew Wiggins? I don't know.
Ooh,
no, you want to send
RJ Barrett is Anthony Simons with better PR.
Would that make you feel better?
Lefty Anthony.
If you're a Kings fan, if you get RJ Barrett instead of Andrew Wiggins?
You're misunderstanding me. I'm just saying this is where Kings fans go this way or that way. I'm not making the case one way or the other. I'm saying I wonder if you asked about Kings fans. Can they get behind that? I don't know that they can from what we're hearing. I don't know what you guys are hearing.
I think that
in the old days, yeah. Jrue Holiday, yeah.
No.
Wiggins, let's go. 55 wins.
I don't think those two are the same. I think that there would be more excitement for Wiggins than Jrue Holiday.
Well, okay, but we don't need to split hairs on it.
Everyone has their own player, right? If I make Wiggins DeJounte Murray, you're in all of a sudden.
No, he's not going to be ready. He's not going to be ready for the season, so I've flipped on
the
DeJounte.
Kings got to not only retool the roster, they got to sell fans on what they're doing. Whatever way they go, they got to sell fans on. We know what we're doing now. This is good because I've never heard Kings fans as skeptical as they are right now. Never heard it before, ever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
The vitriol of the Beam team getting broken up is you took a team that everyone loved and meant something and you ruined it.
Mm-hmm. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not making the case for this or that. I'm saying as far as
you said they need to trade into the first round.
I'd be okay with
that.
You
said that.
They should do that.
The worst, I don't know. You guys probably saw this. I forget who it was. Somebody said this is their hypothetical DeRozan to Miami for 2 seconds and Scary Terry.
No, come on.
Yes. I forget.
And it's getting disrespectful at this point.
2 seconds?
Look, give me Jaime Hot.
Scary Terry.
No. Give me Jovic and Wiggins. Give me Jovic and Wiggins. Or Jaquez and Wiggins. And let's go win something.
Win what? The in-season tournament? Like,
you take that.
Hey, Wiggins and Levine are friends.
You would take that.
That's right.
I just think they need that. Yeah, they need to find out where their timeline is now going to be and really focus on that timeline. If anything, like I would be okay as long as, like Whitey said, I think they just need to identify a plan. And if they tell people it's not about the next, the next 3 years are not about success. It's, the 3 to 6 years that we're really focused on. I think we can be sold on. Let's understand that there's going to be some growth, and that's what the focus should be. Because I think right now, even as a media, it's like we don't know how should we talk about this team like you're trying to be competitive, or should we talk about how many assets you have as an organization?
I agree. Whitey Gleason, Chris Watkins.
Is this still Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah, this is the song of the summer.
I now think this is not a good song.
Thanks to Eric Martins, third base coach for the Athletic or the Athletics. You can check that out on YouTube. Thanks to Kyle, as always. All the callers, texters, sack chatters. Until tomorrow, get the bag. Baby, I'm a rolling stone.
And I don't know much about history, but I know the French and German don't like one another. And Rudy says, bonjour, Mr. Hartenstein. Have a little bit of that left-handed dunk.
What are you trying to start here? Don't forget my podcast. Gotta go. For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy